heard of it before. So Greg Holland, wow, he really went off script there. He went really random if you had never heard of the song.
Deep cuts.
Wasn't it Greg Holland walking? Wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Wasn't it an electric
slide? That's what it was. It was the electric slide.
The safety dance.
Yeah, the electric slider is what it was. So that's going on this weekend. We will talk with Mike Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock. Looking forward to that conversation. A man who is as Kansas City as it gets and is uniquely situated to relive the getting back to prominence of the Royals organization from a man whose family connected to the Kansas City A's, to being around the Chiefs in the late 60s, early 70s, to then bouncing around baseball and many, many different jobs, to then returning to Kansas City, his home, and then, getting a couple of rings with an American League championship and a World Series championship. What was the Greg Holland intro?
It is Fade Away by Breaking Benjamin, according to Sporting News article in 2015.
There we go.
I like Breaking Benjamin. I didn't know that song.
Fade away. It's what he did to the opposition.
It was ranked 25th in this list.
Faded away into the night after that ninth inning. So that's coming up this weekend. We tried to have Jeremy Guthrie on last week, but he had a lot of things going on. He's doing the broadcast.
He's doing the broadcast
yes.
right now.
So we'll see who else we can get on today, tomorrow, and this weekend as well as the reunion of that 2014 team that was that build-up from 12 to 13 to 14 and on in to 15. Just a magical 3-4 year run for this organization and this area. And hopefully we are on the precipice, on the beginning side of what could be a 2, 3, 4 year run with this group of players. We'll see. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Mike Swanson comes up at 11 o'clock. Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. We'll talk with him coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Tonight at 6 o'clock, this man over here, Jack Johnson, will have the schedule release show for you. The preview schedule release show at 6 o'clock, although I think there will be a number of more games that will be released from the Chiefs. We know 2 of them, maybe 3. 2 of them we know for sure. 3 of them, excuse me, we know 3 for sure. 3 for sure. Ravens, Bengals, 49ers. So we know those 3 for sure. Maybe 4. There are reports from Pittsburgh that the Steelers will be hosting the Chiefs on Christmas Day, Wednesday, December 25th. That is now a Netflix streaming-only game on that Wednesday. Doubleheader for the NFL, and Netflix spending about $150 million per game on December 25th. And my first reaction is they are going to start really embracing the live TV, because they did it with the roast of Tom Brady was live, and they got such a strong reaction from that. And I think they are going to delve more and more into the live programming, and they're spending $300 million for live programming of football coming up on Christmas Day.
Prediction for the booth on Netflix.
Oh, that's a great question. I have no idea. Is Guthrie going to be a part of it?
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. There you go. Jason Bateman. That's that is an odd, that is off the board.
Sideline reporter Jason Bateman.
That would be great.
Yes.
That would be great. He knows so much about sports. It would be great just to hear him learn about sports along the way while doing the sideline for the game, learning about football. So, like, it's just, you're playing this game. Have you played it much? Have you played it often, this game, in your life? Is it something that you dreamed of doing growing up? I'm just curious about that, Mr. Mahomes.
I think Jason Bateman's character on Arrested Development would make that a phenomenal broadcast.
He would have to be in character. No, he'd have to be an Ozarks character. He'd have to be
Ozarks?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's too dark.
Marty.
I feel like he's always kind of the same character with
You're
the
right.
same dry sense of
dry
reaction to everything.
Same, slow, perfectly timed blinks.
Yep.
Sort of facial expressions. Great acting with his face, just in general, without saying anything. So you're going with Jason Bateman. I'm going to give us some thought. I'm going to go not Jason Bateman, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. 913-912-4810. We'll get into some of the schedule release stuff. I am a total dork, and I spent too much time going through the scenarios of Christmas Day, if it's the first game of Week 17 or the last game of Week 16. And when I tell you I spent too much time on it, I am underselling it by saying I spent too much time on it. I spent way too much time on figuring out the logistics of if it will be the end of Week 16 or the beginning of Week 17, and how you then make the schedule if it is Week 16 for the teams that are playing Steelers, Chiefs, on what they would do Week 15, what you would do Week 17. If it's the beginning of Week 17, what you do then Week 16, what you do Week 18, et cetera, et cetera. We know Week 18 is going to be a Saturday, Sunday, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, and then the rest of the games on Sunday. If you're playing, and we'll see.
It has to be a Thursday night game in a bye. Like, it almost has to be a bye beforehand, right?
Well, the last bye is Week 14.
Well, that's my point. Like, I
So it can't be a bye.
don't, I don't know what you do. Then
We'll get into it. We'll get into my dorkiness. Okay, we'll talk about my dorkiness. I figured it out. I've come to the conclusion it has to be Week 17. I figured that out. All right. Now tonight,
Have you done the math? You've done the research.
I've done all of the different things. Again,
You've done a lot of calculus in there.
I spent too much time on it. Okay. It's ridiculous how much time I spent instead of just waiting till tonight to find out.
Yeah, how many hours were sunk into this?
Almost an hour and a half of just thinking about 16 or 17, which week Christmas Day will be on. And all I had to do was literally do anything else, and I would have probably had more production, been a more productive adult in that 90 minutes than this, when I am going to find out the answer tonight.
Yeah, you could have probably solved some diseases, world hunger.
Split the atom.
You could have split the atom, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Could have easily split an atom in that time. That's how long it took for scientists once they started trying, right? 90 minutes, roughly?
Around that, yeah, around that.
Could have figured out how to fly.
About 90
Wright
minutes,
brothers?
yeah. I think it was 84, 85.
84, okay,
yeah.
85 minutes.
Oppenheimer was 3 hours long, so it was actually 3 hours it took him.
It's a good call.
It took them 3 hours. Manhattan was only 3 hours, man. Who'd have thought? So, yeah, I spent too much time on that. We'll get to some of those things. Let's talk about the Royals. They win last night. They take down the Seattle Mariners. They split the series. We'll see what they do today in the rubber match. I said yesterday that I felt like this series against the Mariners, after losing on Monday, find a way to split. You know, they had a phenomenal pitcher on the mound last night for the Mariners. Royals had Michael Wacha. We were going to see what he was going to look like coming off his previous start on the 9th, when he looked pretty good and gave up only the 2 runs in 6 innings. So how did he then build off of that when he had a few rough outings before that? So was last outing the outlier, or were the couple before that you're going to go through a slump. You're going to go through a couple of starts which aren't great. I mean, Logan Gilbert's pretty awesome. He was on the mound last night, and he got lit up the previous time out. And then he went out there, and he was brilliant. But Michael Wacha was matching him with brilliance. I mean, one pitch that I don't even know that you call it a mistake. Like, it was like Luke Raley pounding the Brady Singer home run that was middle. Like, that's a mistake. This one had such sharp break on it. And on the inside part of the plate, I watched that bat, and I'm like, that's one where you just sort of tip your hat.
90% of the time, that's a slightly late swing that ends up being a pop-up to center field, the shortstop.
Or it's so early, it's into the stands down the right field line. I mean, it's ripped, down into section 125 down there. So that was a tip your hat at bat for me. Was that anything on Wacha, or was that just Raley a good hitter that they get paid too?
I think kind of in the same way with Nelson Velasquez in the 7th. It's just a strong man turning on a pitch like that. I mean, I would say a chunk of hitters can park one over the fence on a pitch that's that down and in. You got to have good bat control. You got to have good torque. But I would say overall it comes down to the pure strength of the hitter.
Yeah.
And Luke Raley is a big man.
Yeah.
As
He's
a
hot
big
right
individual.
now, too.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. That the previous night, I mean, anybody hangs a pitch like that to Luke Raley, it's going to go pretty far. But in that spot, no, I don't think that was poorly located. I don't think it was a bad pitch. I think he executed it in the way that Michael Wacha wanted to. But that's just a hitter getting the best of him. That was the only blemish, really, on his scorecard, if you will.
He was so good last night.
Was that his best changeup all year long? Because I can't think of another time where I thought his changeup had that much of a, one, late movement into right-handed hitters, and two, just looked like a parachute was being pulled. There were just so many horrendous swings on that changeup. I thought that was his best his changeup looked all year long.
Well, he's got 13 Ks the last 2 outings, and he had 10 the previous 3. Andy Rogers had the report after, it was 2-3 days ago on the 12th, so that would have been Sunday. So she had the report after Michael Wacha's most recent outing about him starting to use a slider, that he had been working, never thrown a slider in his career, had started to work on it, and then he threw it in that outing against the Angels, in which they won 10-4. He went 6 innings, he gave up 2 earned runs, 3 total runs, but 2 of those being earned, 6 strikeouts in the game. He got the win, just his second on the season of his, at that point, 8 starts, but he was starting to throw a slider. Now, StatCast is not recording it as a slider, it's recording it as a cutter. And then he goes into this outing with the same repertoire of pitches and throwing a slider some more, but only being recorded as a cutter. And so I went and looked at the previous 2 starts. So on April 28th, when he pitched against Detroit, and on May 4th, when he pitched against the Rangers, he went a total of 9 1/3 innings total and gave up 11 earned runs with 6 strikeouts in those 2 starts. And he threw a total of 19 cutters in those 2 starts. The last 2 starts, he has thrown 50 cutters. He has thrown 128 cutters this entire year. 50 of them the last 2 starts, meaning he threw 80 essentially the previous 7 starts. So hearing Andy Rogers say that the slider is being recorded as a cutter on StatCast, I think there's something more there in what he's done the last 2 outings and getting the strikeouts. Now, do teams adjust and go, okay, now we're Michael Wacha, we got to be ready for a slider. It's recorded as a cutter, but he wasn't really throwing his cutter that much. Now he's throwing his cutter the third most of his pitches, and it's either a cutter or a slider, or it's both. It looks a little bit the same, but it breaks a little bit more. I feel like there's more there than just, he turned it around and he had a couple of pretty good outings. Because what he said is if you're not trying to evolve, then you're getting worse. And it's been something he had been tinkering with the grip. Finally found a grip he was comfortable with and decided to use it against the Angels. Maybe it was because this lineup sucks. So let me use it against the Angels. But then he kept using it last night. And now he's got 13 Ks in his previous 12 innings.
It's a tale of 2 pitchers, right? When you look at Monday night and Tuesday night, we were harping on Brady Singer not throwing his other pitches. He stuck to the sinker and the slider. And then you have Michael Wacha, who, against the same lineup in the same spot, I'm going to throw more of the new pitch I just developed. And maybe that's also a veteran understanding that, hey, it's the adapt or die element here. I mean, if I'm going to continue struggling and not try to change something about what I'm doing, I'm not going to get any better. And so to see this working, one, it shows the coachability, and I think it also goes to why the Royals went after Michael Wacha, why they went after Seth Lugo. You have guys that, one, are going to be great mentors to your young pitchers, but are also going to be adaptive to the pitching coaches. Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove and Mitch Stetter, those guys, they want them to be close together. That's why we see all 5 pitchers talking to each other after every single outing, but also have this ability to mold themselves and to pick up on the coaching. And I think last year, not everybody, but I think there were probably a chunk of pitchers that just said, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not adding a new pitch. I can't throw it well enough, and maybe they tried it barely and it didn't work, and they said, that's why I'm not going to throw it. Whereas somebody like Wacha, you got to have talent, right? If you're going to throw a new pitch and be able to locate it like that, get the spin on it. But then when you see it just work a handful of times, I can utilize this now. And that's probably a veteran going, I've done this before. I've had to change some of my arsenal before. And when you see it work, it's always going to feel better. And after facing a lineup like that, and not a must-win game, but I think a really important one, right?
Right.
They still haven't been swept so far this season. And if you would have been down 2-0 and putting all of that pressure on Alec Marsh, who just got off the injured list. I mean, I don't think I would have liked the Royals' chances. They snapped an 8-game losing streak at T-Mobile Park, and
That's right.
Michael Wacha is a big reason why.
I think that's a good point as far as he almost needed to. One of those things you said back there was he's a veteran. He understands at this point it's you have to adapt or die. His fastball is right now in the second percentile. That's on the low side.
Yeah.
That's the bad side. That's the, oh, yikes, this guy's getting shelled side. His breaking run value is in the 29th percentile. That's in the, oh, yikes, I'm getting shelled side. His changeup's in the 100th. His changeup has been one of the best pitches in all of baseball. So all he needed to find out was basically another pitch, whether it's the sinker, which the sinker's been better than the four-seamer, but he needed something else. The cutter or whatever it was.
Cutter, slider.
Whatever it is.
Slutter. I don't know.
I'm going to let that simmer.
What? We called the Greg Holland the slider. Why can't we combine those?
It's like
You
Paul
know what you
Skeens'
did.
Splinker.
Yeah, see? Same thing.
You know what you did. You know what you did, Jason.
I'm not sure. Please continue.
But the changeup being as good as it has been, he just needed something else, and the ability to try something else, again, has turned him back into what he has been the past 2 years, a 3.32 ERA, a 3.22 ERA. A guy who might not get a ton of strikeouts. Right now the strikeout numbers are pretty darn solid, but a guy who perpetually gets weak contact, and quite frankly, this year, he still ranks very high in generating weak contact.
Yeah, the slider working, as you would expect, down and away to righties. And she pointed out a couple of at-bats against the Angels. And he said, getting that working down and away to righties, I feel like it's a spot I hadn't really used against righties before. Being able to land those for strikes down and away and expanding whenever I need to, I think it's going to be a big plus for me. I didn't go back and look at the StatCast last night, probably should have, or this morning, to see how many of those pitches and strikeouts he was working down and away that registered as cutters, that are actually sliders that he's using now. And it's interesting to say that, I guess you could look at the heat map maybe, that he said that down and away to righties is not a place where he's typically worked throughout his career. And I'll tell you what, if you're as old as Michael Wacha and you are 7 starts into this year, and then you find a grip you like with the slider, and now you've opened up that quadrant, or I guess it wouldn't even be a quadrant, it'd be a ninth. Isn't that the correct term? Ninth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quadrant, ninth. That spot on the strike zone, you open that up, and now you got guys thinking about that spot as well. Is that a slider? Is it a cutter? And we'll see if guys adjust to it. We'll see what happens the next time out, because now it's 2. Now it's known, right? He's talked about it. They have advanced scouts. They know what's going on with Michael Wacha. Now the next time out, we'll see what happens, and that'll be against the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Monday.
Yeah, good lineup against the Tigers, and we'll see. That's a big one in division for this team. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to hear from Michael Wacha. We'll hear from Matt Quatrero as well, weighing in on Michael Wacha. Nelson Velazquez listening to us and going, I'm going to show you guys, right? I mean, we were sitting here challenging Velazquez, saying the things we were saying about him so that he would hear it and take heed to the challenge we are sending him. That's what we are. Ultimate. You got to. Coaching is all about understanding how you reach players. You reach Velazquez by threats, apparently. It's not just loving him up and, hey, you're going to be fine. It's, here's your ticket to Omaha unless you come through tonight. And he hits a 3-run home run. That's perfect.
I've always said negative reinforcement is the way to go. I've always been a proponent of negative reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly. I hate your show so far, Sterling. You have been awful. Let's get better, okay?
Visit us at Hollywood Casino Kansas Speedway this spring for all the playoff hoops, hockey action, and baseball. We've got the biggest screens, the best food and drink, plus we're giving away pin cash bonuses.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson. Now I feel even worse about the whole,
I accept your apology, Jason.
Oh, no, not about that.
Oh, okay.
About trying to figure out if it was the end of Week 17 or end of Week 16 or the beginning of Week 17. Because as I'm being shown some tweets on the text line and on the Twitter of back on March 26th of Adam Schefter saying, teams that are playing on Christmas Day will also have played Saturday, December 21st. December 21st would be Week 16, so that would make Christmas Day the beginning of Week 17, which is, by the way, what I figured out on my own. I didn't need Adam Schefter's help, okay? I didn't need, and figured out on my own that that team would play Saturday, December 21st.
You needed the texter's help.
No. Well, I needed the texter's help to show that it had already been out, so I don't have to wait till tonight.
Thank you, texters.
Oh, man. Yeah, I was like, if it was the beginning of Week 17, then the teams would either have played Thursday night football in Week 16 or Saturday, Week 16. The reason I went with Saturday is because typically when teams play that Thursday night football game or whatever, or teams play on a short week, like the rest would be for a Thursday night football, they both have the same amount of rest. You wouldn't have like the Chiefs play Thursday night football before that Wednesday, and then the Steelers play Saturday, and they have short rest. When teams are playing Thursday night, they play Sunday, and then they go and play the short rest.
2 Thursday night football games with both being involved.
Yeah, and if it was Week 16, I'm like, well, if it's Week 16, then you would have a couple of Monday Night Football games on Week 17. But they don't play Monday Night Football games on Week 17 because they don't want a short week for Week 18. So it's another reason why I went with Week 17. There's plenty of reasons why I did that. The quickest reason could have been just going and seeing a tweet from March 26th from Adam Schefter. Hey, Jason Persinger, where were you last night when I was doing this?
You should.
I blame Jason. I blame Jason.
I also
at Jason
blame
Persinger
Jason.
1.
I also blame a Jason.
On my S list. That guy. On my you're on my list, Jason.
Christmas card list.
If he would have sent that last night. If he's like, hey, Jason, I know you're a dork. We Jason stick together. Just in case you're going to spend an obscene amount of time trying to figure this out and confusing yourself many times. This is a tweet from March 26th, just so you know, in case the Chiefs play on Christmas Day. That would have been great last night. Okay? Yeah, the Triscuit, I can't go back in time and put the Triscuit in my stomach, okay? That didn't help me, all right? It's Billy Madison. Check it out. Also, Darius Lane, appreciate you, said, because I was talking about Tom Brady being live, and I couldn't remember the first live one that they did. So I just went with Tom Brady being live and got such a great response. The first live one that they did, I appreciate Darius, was Chris Rock's comedy special. Was the first live event that they did. And that was like, I couldn't remember because it was like a year ago. It was a while ago. And then they got into the Tom Brady roast. Now they're getting into football. So I think they're getting into more and more live programming. So we'll see. But they're spending a lot of money on the NFL's Christmas Day games on Wednesday.
So the whole Hulu has live sports. Is Netflix just going to be Netflix has some live sports?
Netflix has live programming.
Yeah, just really trying to rip it off. Yeah,
they're just going to go with live programming, and the advertising already is there. You can't spell Netflix without NFL. They've already put that out there.
That's a good point.
They have. They did that.
Wow.
They released that this morning. Netflix did. You can't spell Netflix without NFL. That's a fact, by the way.
Fact, not fiction. Fact.
Yeah. You also can't spell Netflix without Tix. Tix. Which is what people in Pittsburgh will be getting for that Christmas Day game. I don't want the Chiefs to play on Christmas Day. All right? It ruined my Christmas Day last year. It shouldn't have. I wish I wasn't a child on that Christmas Day when they played that way against the Raiders. But I can't control my emotions sometimes.
And guess who we're playing again on Christmas? Potentially.
The Steelers.
Russell Wilson. Was he the
No.
start? Oh,
No, that was Raiders.
Oh my God.
That was Aiden O'Connell. Essentially Russell Wilson.
thing.
The
Yeah,
white
same
Russell Wilson
thing.
is
Yeah,
what
there
I've
you
always
go.
called him. I've always called Aiden O'Connell. Everybody's called him that, right? Wasn't that his nickname?
Close enough.
Mr. Limited. Russell Wilson was unlimited. He was limited. I'm not sure. But they'll be playing the Steelers, according to reports, and even more reports from Jordan Schultz, another tweet that was sent to me, that Jordan Schultz is saying that it is the Steelers hosting the Chiefs Week 17 on Christmas Day.
I think the punt returner of Justin Fields will be starting at quarterback by then.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. So that means we have 4 games for the Chiefs schedule that have been released. Week 1, Thursday night against Baltimore. Week 2, Sunday afternoon against the Bengals. Week 7, Sunday afternoon in San Francisco. And Week 17, Wednesday, Christmas Day in Pittsburgh on Netflix. That's 4. I guessed 5 games we would know. And we know they're on Monday Night Football twice because Joe Buck has already said we have the Chiefs twice.
I said 7. So, Jack, you're hoping that you hope I pan out because you want as many as possible.
Well, you've got a little bit of an advantage if we ask you, because Dylan, what'd you say?
I said 4 or 5, so I'll go 4.
I went 5. He went 7.
7.
What would you go? Because we've had 4. Because when we said this yesterday, the Steelers-Chiefs game hadn't been reported yet. That was like yesterday at like 4:00. A couple of people from Pittsburgh said, getting some information, Steelers are hosting the Chiefs on Christmas Day. And then that's when there was another report that said, also hearing the same thing. And then Jordan Schultz ultimately, I believe, this morning at 9:00, saying that, yes, sources, Steelers are hosting the Chiefs in Week 17 on Christmas Day on Netflix.
So Dylan had 4, you have 5, he has 7. I'll just go 6 then.
6?
Why not stay in the ballpark?
I like
I'm
it.
going to go 6.
There we go, 6. You've got 6, you've got 7, I've got 5. So they can release one more game.
I'm trying to help you out, Jack. I'm really trying to help you out.
And we also have to find out where the other 13 opponents are going to go in that time. Because Ravens, Bengals, 49ers, and Steelers, we figured out. Well, I guess it wouldn't be 13, it'd be the other 10, right? Because then you've got doubleheaders against Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. So we'll find out. 913-912-4810. Let's hear from Michael Waka. This is the second outing in which that slider has been utilized but registers as a cutter. Here's Michael Waka just in general on his outing last night after the win in his 4th W on the season. Back-to-back starts now picking up the decision and getting a W.
I had command of a lot of the pitches today. Working in, out, up, down on some guys, keeping them off balance for the most part. I haven't seen the numbers, but felt like I was ahead, making pitches in positive pitcher counts, and letting the defense play behind us. They were making plays. Got some big double plays there towards the end, and Schreiber and MacArthur closed it out. It was a well-pitched game, I thought, and then Velasquez came through there after some guys had some great at-bats getting on there, and got the big one to go out of the park. It was a good team win for sure.
Did you make any particular adjustments from your last start coming into this one to kind of continue to keep the success rolling for you?
I felt like that one at Anaheim was, a step in the right direction. It was kind of a start that I could build off of, and felt like carried that momentum into this one, with certain pitches, and just having that focus on every pitch and that location, kind of in mind, was definitely was helpful, and just trying to keep it rolling, keep building off of each of these starts, and keep getting better.
Bit lower, bit fewer of change-ups there, especially early. Was that going in kind of to mix it up a little bit more with the other stuff?
Yeah, it was just felt like especially early on they were swinging aggressively, and maybe didn't have time to get to the change-up, but also trying to disguise it at times with other pitches as well. But whenever I did throw it, felt like I had good action and some positive results to it.
I liked when he said carried momentum into this one with certain pitches. From my previous start, carried momentum with certain pitches into this one, and I think it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. I'm reading into it, right? In that he's saying that. We also have breaking schedule news, Dylan. We have breaking news sounder. Breaking news. There it is. Pretty much the same sounder.
What in the trumpet were you doing?
I have no idea. I guess I was introducing the new queen. Not sure. But the Chiefs have another game. Week 11. We know that Week 11, the Chiefs will be heading to Buffalo to be playing a 3:25 game on November 17th, CBS. So that is now 5 games we know. And I'm going to assume that I'm going to be wrong. We've already passed Dylan's 4 and tied with my 5. I think we're all going to be wrong. It's going to be like 9 or 10 games.
You thought I was crazy with 7.
I did.
You guys thought I was absurd.
I did. I didn't think there. I thought there would be a good mixture of games that are going to be released. I didn't think half the Chiefs' schedule was going to be released before the schedule release comes up tonight.
Of a spectacle that they make
Yes!
this NFL Network thing.
It's
would
the
think that the NFL would treat this.
They're going
like,
for a three-peat.
Yeah.
The marquee matchups this year: Ravens, Bengals, 49ers, Bills, have already been announced when those games are before the schedule release tonight. That is surprising to me.
The Chiefs are the biggest thing in the NFL right now. They're the biggest game for every other team.
Mm-hmm.
So if any other team is getting a game released, more than likely, if they're playing the Chiefs, that is the game being released. This is, quite frankly, very fun to be a part of in Kansas City, having the Chiefs be the pinnacle of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. So now there are only 5 road games left to see where they go, because there are 3 of those road games already. So we'll see where they end up with those 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, they got 9 road games this year. So we'll see what the other 6 games are. And Jack Johnson will be on tonight at 6 o'clock with the schedule release Sports Radio 810 special, talking about what will probably be 13 of the 17 games that the Chiefs will have played in their schedule release. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next.
called me crazy for saying 7, Jason.
Well, I called you crazy for many things. That was just one of the many things. I just lumped it all together to make it easier for you to sort of digest and go home and work on it. You know, if it was one individual thing, that would seem like I was piling on. You know what I mean? If it was an individual thing every day for like 5 weeks, that's overkill, right? Instead, I just give it to you all in one package.
Overkill. That's a song by
Hey,
Motorhead.
Motorhead.
Yeah.
Motorhead. Isn't that the song? Isn't that what they sing?
I am going to throw hands with you in the break. You will not get Night Ranger confused with Motorhead, good sir.
Knight Rider? coming up at 1 o'clock. There is something really cool going on at Kauffman Stadium this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the A's, and tomorrow with the off day, but celebrating the 10-year anniversary of that 2014 team to get back to the World Series here in Kansas City for the first time since 1985. We know what happened in 2015, but 2014 getting things rolling. Joining us now, former Vice President of Communications and Broadcasting for the Kansas City Royals for such a long time, VP Communications Broadcasting Emeritus, Mike Swanson, joining us here in the Zone. Swanee, what's up? How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Jason. How about yourself?
I am doing just fine. How's the knee coming along?
It's doing really well.
Okay.
The folks at PT would be very proud of their effort, but they took an old guy and got him fixed as well as they could, and now I'm back to hitting golf balls. In fact, I'm waiting for the driving range to dry out a little bit today so I can go out and hit some more.
Nice. Look at you. Bionic man, Mike. So, you know what? Cyborg, a lot like Wade Davis. We'll see him throw out the first pitch on Saturday night. Mike, there's so many things from 2014 and that postseason run that comes to mind, but you were so close to everything. If you think back, if I say that 2014 run, is there one specific thing that comes to mind? Is there a first memory that pops up in your mind?
You know, the one that it's rekindled because I've done a lot of work on tomorrow night's function down at Union Station. They were kind enough to ask me to do some research for it and help with the script. And the one that just kept bouncing out and played so huge in my mind was the signing of Raul Ibanez and the subsequent meeting that Raul had in Chicago with the team once he felt like he was comfortable enough with the club to have that meeting. We had just, I don't know how many people remember, you know, we were in the hunt all year, but we really hadn't taken that big step. And then we go into the All-Star break losing 3 out of 4 to Detroit and come out of the break and play 3 clunkers in Boston. And Raul was ready to have a meeting with the players-only meeting in Chicago. And on Monday night in Chicago, Chris Sale was pitching against us. Raul thought, you know what, I'm going to wait a day. Because, you know, Chris Sale's got a chance of pitching pretty well against our club, which he did, and we lost. And then on Tuesday, he had the meeting outside the clubhouse in one of the rooms at the ballpark in Chicago. And he basically told the players that when he was on the Angels and hearing other clubs talk, I don't see how Kansas City is not winning more games. This is a talented, good team. I mean, he's telling the guys on the Royals how good they really are. And I think that was a moment of belief. I really do. I think he pumped it right into them, and the team took off. I mean, we had a couple of roller coaster weeks, if you will, the rest of the season, but it was that meeting that was kind of the springboard, and everybody's like, you know what? He's right. We're better than what we're showing right now, and the rest is kind of, as they say, is history because you know, and Raul didn't even participate in the postseason. But just having him there and being part of it and being the veteran presence that everybody was looking for really helped the club move along.
They and looking at that and just from that stretch, the Royals at that point, after that game against Chris Sale, going back to that Tuesday, July 22nd, they were 8 games out of first, and by August 23rd, they were 3 games up. So, yeah. I mean, a month later, they're 11-game difference in a month.
You know, it's like the old, you know, find the canister and rub it and get the genie to pop out. That's kind of what it was when Raul showed up in Kansas City, and it's just funny how things work out. And then, you know, the cherry pick remembering would be the wild card game, but then I have to go to the trip to Anaheim and then the trip to Baltimore,
right.
and you know, there's so many quote-unquote cherry-pick ideas that come out of that 2014 season or thoughts that come out of that 14 season. But for my money, just looking back on it, that one addition was basically the lifeline the team needed.
Was there, I mean, going back to that time, because I love that you brought that up because it's a different conversation than I thought we'd be having. But at that time, was there a thought that bringing this guy in could do just that, could give that veteran presence? Because there were some veteran guys on the team. I mean, James Shields helped that along the way and give them that sort of bulldog, big game James at the top of their rotation and bringing in some other guys and making some transactions, et cetera. but bringing in a Raul Ibanez, was there a thought that that was sort of an ingredient that might have been missing, and they knew they were going to get that, or did that sort of come up organically that you needed his skill set, and then organically being the guy and the leader that he was, that just sort of happened?
I think you touched on it there at the last point. I think it was more of an organic thing. You know, if there was that one magic deal you could make or magic button you could push to make your team go from, you know, playing good to average baseball to playing great baseball, everybody would try to push that button, but you never know who that's going to be. But Raul was one of those guys. He'd been in Kansas City before. He's one of the most eloquent people I've ever met in the game. I mean, as a human being, he's just one of those people that's instantly likable. I couldn't tell you if any teammates on any of the clubs I played for ever had a problem with him because I couldn't see how. And, you know, he came in, we were, I believe, in Minnesota when he joined the team. And I think 2 to 3 weeks later, when he felt like, you know, this is my opportunity to say something. You know, the guys know who I am now. And you mentioned Shieldsy and Wade Davis and guys like that who came in. And as much as James had a great belief in how good he was, a confidence, if you will, and, you know, the guys in the lineup knew that they were good baseball players, but to actually be told by a 19-year veteran who had seen just about everything you could see in the game of baseball and be told that you are a great ball player, and teams are wondering, you know, they're talking about you, why aren't you, you know, running away with this thing or something like that to that. And I obviously wasn't in the room, but I've heard about it enough that I know that, you know, it was a pump-up thing. It wasn't you guys suck, you guys play like, you know, anything like that. It wasn't that at all. It was just strictly you know, pump them up and let them know how good they are and the belief in themselves. And once that happened, and, you know, the game is like, you know, I'll go to last night, as recent as last night. You know, this team last night, this team that's playing right now for the Royals is very reminiscent of the 13 team. But then what Velasquez did in the seventh inning last night was very reminiscent of the 14 team in the second half of the season. When there was a need for a big hit, it happened. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, God, I hope we get a big hit here. No, we got the big hit. We got the big out. And, you know, once we started playing 6-inning games with HTH at the back end, and we realized we could play 6-inning games, that was when this club really started to believe.
I love the idea of Raul Ibanez talking to that team and going, why don't you guys look in the mirror and see the team that the other team sees when they look at you?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Did the organization feel that? Like, hey, why aren't we, you know, performing better? Why are we 2 games under 500 at this point? We feel like we've got the mix. We've built this thing. We've put it together. We feel like we've got the formula here, and these pieces are fitting. Why aren't we playing? What was the same sort of feeling in the organization going on that when Raul Ibanez comes in and goes, guys, I see what you guys are from afar, and now I'm here, and now I know why you guys are struggling is because you don't believe you're that good.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I think coming out of the 13 season, we went to camp thinking, and again, I didn't have a costume with my name on the back and a number. You know, I was front office, but I saw the guys come out of there with a belief. You know, we were in the hunt until the last week of the season in 13. And nobody's ever going to forget Justin Maxwell's grand slam off Soria on Sunday to send us off to Seattle. And I think 1 or 2 games back at the time. And then it trickles into 14. And everybody came in with confidence. Everybody knew that this team could play. But for some reason, it wasn't lining up. The wins weren't coming as frequent as everybody would have liked. Now, I can't put myself in Dayton Moore's head as to what he was trying to get out of the deal, but I think he just felt like because enough people in our organization and in baseball knew the kind of person that Raul Ibanez was and the kind of player that he was. And, you know, he's gone on now in baseball to be a front office guy, to work in the commissioner's office. I mean, that's how highly thought of Raul is. And to bring in a guy like that as kind of a steadying influence, and he came in knowing, you know, if he sees the field once or twice a week, that's probably going to be ample play for him. You know, as much as he probably wanted to play more, we had a pretty good lineup and a pretty good team. But I'll tell you a funny story. We're in Oakland one night, and I remember this like it was the back of my hand. We're in Oakland one night, and Jimmy Guthrie throws 6 shutout innings, and Raul Ibanez hits what winds up being the final home run of his career, and we won the game 1-0. Now, if that's not, you know, you go back, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. that okay, he contributed in the clubhouse and contributed in the meeting and contributed here and there, and then and the irony of that is, who's the team that had to come play us in the wild card game?
That's right. That's a great.
If we don't win that game, we're probably playing in Oakland that night.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, just how those things sort of fit together. Mike Swanson's our guest, former Vice President, Communications and Broadcasting for the Kansas City Royals. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Mike, when I was saying we're going to have you on, I don't know that there is somebody more uniquely positioned to talk about, that return to glory of 10 years ago for that 2014 team, for the organization, than someone who the early parts of your life were around the Kansas City A's, and to see that, to then win another World Series and be a part of it and get a ring winning the American League pennant, get a ring winning the World Series championship, from when it was like, there's a nice little town to have some baseball with the Kansas City A's, but that feeder for the Yankees, and they're leaving, and we'll see if what happens moving forward. But then to be a franchise that was as respected in the 70s and 80s as it was, to then going through the lulls, to then getting back to the mountaintop, which was as unexpected as really anything in a game that seems as lopsided in terms of the parity or the ability to play on some sort of an even and level playing field. Yet this team was able to accomplish that and get it done.
Absolutely, and you're 100% right about the parity in the game. I mean, we were, I think if I'm paraphrasing the national media during the 14 and 15 runs, we were the cute story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and we were supposed to get manhandled by the, well, we probably weren't supposed to beat the A's. Who knows? We did. I mean, we probably shouldn't have by the, way that particular game went, but we had no doubt in us. I mean, this team was not going to quit. And then we weren't supposed to play, beat the Angels. They had the best record in baseball that year, and that wasn't even a contest. I mean, it really was. We played extra inning games with them, but, I mean, we were the best team on the field all three games.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't supposed to be able to play with the Orioles. The cute Royal story is going to come to an end. And we thumped them pretty good, and to have to do it, both of those series, to have to do it with starting in their home ballpark and sweeping them in their ballpark and never letting them come back home was the key to both of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the World Series, and I know everybody talks about the 90 feet we came up short. But the thing was, we went toe-to-toe with a team that had won even World Series as the previous 2 years, or previous in 12 and 10 and 12. And so we're playing a pretty good ball club right there. And if not for Madison Bumgarner, who knows how that thing, but you can't say if not, because he was there and that's what he did. But we played the rest of that team. We played the other 24 guys pretty good. It was just that one guy who was kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, he was brilliant that night. I mean, it's just there were a lot of teams that would have been unable to score some runs against him. I know Twitter at times when everybody's watching games together, national games, and Twitter gets together, and it's like a bunch of friends hanging out, and people want to get their jokes off and things like that. I won't forget, and it really bothered me, and it felt so satisfying. And I shouldn't be satisfied that the team that I grew up loving and rooting for and had the civic pride connection with, I shouldn't feel excitement of them winning to sort of like, shove it in somebody else's face. But it really bothered me that when the Royals were trailing the A's that night, it was Doug Gottlieb that tweeted out and said, hey, guess what? The Royals still won't play in October, because it was the last day in September and the game was going to be over before midnight. And it was like, the Royals still won't play an October game, right? And that really bothered me. For some reason,
nothing makes me happier than for Gottlieb to be wrong. It happens. It happens, and I don't know Doug, and I'm sure he's probably a decent guy.
He just happened to be the one that I saw that night, and I was like, that's really annoying that they're losing this game.
He hasn't stopped that habit. I mean, he still says some things that are just a tad bit outrageous. I don't think he's the biggest fan of our quarterback here in Kansas City.
No, probably not.
He's probably found other teams to pull for, but he tends to be wrong every time our quarterback takes the field. So it's like, that's okay. I can live with that.
Yeah, no problem at all. But it was just so satisfying to get that win and the way that that team did that. You mentioned that this year kind of has some feel to the 2013 team, and then Velasquez hitting a home run has a feel to that 2014 team and just finding ways to get it done. Raul Ibanez in 2014, it's the first thing you went to. One of the things that I was going to ask you was, looking back to that 2013 team and that build up to, you've got some of the pieces, you make the trade, you feel like these could be the final pieces to this. You were going to also add some more pieces in 14 and then in 15, et cetera. But on June 4th of 2013, this team was 9 games under 500 on June 4th, 2013. And from that point until winning the World Series, they went 247 and 184 from that point, finishing 63 and 44 that year in 2013.
I was going to say, I knew we were 60-something and 40-something. I couldn't remember the exact
63 and
numbers,
44.
I knew, yeah.
Yeah, 63 and 44 the rest of the way that year. The Raul Ibanez thing is really interesting because that's like a direct correlation and a link from that team sort of having that belief. But something happened in 2013 as well, which led into why isn't this team doing enough in 2014 when they sort of started to get things rolling? Because that felt like that end of 2013 was the beginning of what was going to be a special run. It ended up being that, except for that first half of 2014, felt like something was off. Something was missing. They didn't have that same magic of those last 100 games of the year before.
I would agree, and I don't know what what the reason was to come out, because I go back to coming to spring training in 14, and and at 15 it was a whole other story.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you come into camp in 14 and you see Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas and the guys that have grown up in the system, and you just see a different air about him. Excuse me, Sal. The confidence in him and knowing that he was finally an all-star for the first time in 2013, and that just gives you a feeling of I kind of made it now. I'm not going to say he made it because he's made it now, but it gives you that feeling. And they came to camp, and we started the season. We didn't exactly come out on fire, but you start the season and you're like, these guys are ready to play. I mean, that you've got some talent. You could think back to that last half of the 13 season. And then we came to camp in 15. I mean, we're not allowed to gamble in the game, but man, oh man, my brain was locked in on the fact we were going to be right back in the Fall Classic. Now, things happen during the season, injuries and slumps and all that. But my goodness, to see that group of guys come back as hungry as they were. I mean, you can say you want to get back to the World Series, but just seeing the way they went about their business and the way they played, and knowing that, they walked into Anaheim. I go back to they walked into Anaheim, beat the chest, and won 2 big games, and then swept that series. That record still stands. I mean, they're the only team to go 8-0 to start a postseason in Major League history. And granted, that couldn't have happened a long time ago because there was just, way back in the game, there was just nothing but the World Series, and then they started playoffs. But to come to camp with that under your belt, you actually have a pretty good feeling about yourself.
Mike Swanson's our guest, Vice President Communications and Broadcasting. We've talked about a couple of different trades throughout the years of the difference in this team. The trade of Zach Greinke that brought a couple of league championship MVPs in a trade. It's a pretty good one when you get back American League Championship MVPs in back-to-back years. And a trade of one of the best prospects in all of baseball, along with Jake Odorizzi and a couple of others, and you get James Shields and you get Wade Davis, and you finally figure out the role for Wade Davis, that he's going to be this elite bullpen guy. When did it feel for you, like, we look at this year for the Royals team, and there's always the, go back to what you know, and that group of 12, 13 into 14 and 15 of how that eventually grew into being a team that was challenging and ultimately then won a World Series. As you look back, as it was building up, when did maybe you get the first idea that, not from a win and loss perspective, but players sort of coming together and the pieces starting to be put together, that you've got Gordon and Butler, and then Hosmer's coming up, and Moustakis is, maybe starting to figure it out, and Salvi, and, Alcides and Kane, and you slowly are piecing this thing together. Was there a feel along the way that you thought, all right, I see it. I see the full picture here, and this thing has a real chance for the full picture to come to fruition of there being some October, some playoff baseball here in Kansas City?
Well, there were a couple of things, Jason. I mean, one that comes to mind immediately was the transitioning of Wade Davis from what he wanted to do in his career, which was be a starter, and transitioning him to the bullpen. I mean, once you started seeing the outs piling out from him as a bullpen piece, and unfortunately, the reason that occurred was because Luke Hochevar got hurt.
Yeah.
And Luke had just figured out in his career how to become a good bullpen piece. And sadly, he wasn't active during the 14 season for his sake, sadly, but for the team's sake, Wade Davis became Wade Davis. And, to see the confidence build in the back end of that bullpen, and once Ned and Dave Island, excuse me again, once Ned and Dave Island defined everybody's roles, I mean, you could just see, again, the offensive guys. And, it's funny, in football, offensive players and defensive players, they really don't talk to each other much and don't really like each other much. But in baseball, it's a little bit different. And the pitchers are pulling like hell for the offensive guys. Just get us a lead. And the offensive guys are like, we're going to get you the lead. And, to see that transpire, to watch it, take place in front of your eyes, it's hard to explain, but the confidence level just rises, and they put themselves in a different era on the field, and it's aura, on the field. And you feel it upstairs. You feel like, look, you just check the attendance of the crowds coming into the ballpark. They started to feel it. And once we went from the 16 to 18 to 19,000 a night to the 23, 25, 27, up to 30 a night, that shows the players that there's not only belief in the clubhouse, but there's belief in the community. That helps unbelievably too.
Mike Swanson's our guest. Take me back to that night in Chicago, that Friday night, the 3-1 win, and the official, winning the wild card and heading to the postseason for the first time since '85. What was that night like around the ball club? Not knowing what the next month would be like and what the ride we all would be on. And Jake Gutierrez this morning, I thought he was joking, but he's like, no, I'm not joking. He's like, I'm still paying off the credit card from the 14 and 15 playoff run. And they laughed. He's like, I'm serious. I'm still paying off my credit card from 2000 because the end of 14
Can I have the interest he paid on that?
But he said, because it was right like at the end of 14, right? It was like, hey, this is when's this ever going to happen again? Right? It's never going to happen. And then the next year you're doing the same thing. But can you take me back to that night in Chicago of knocking off the White Sox, getting the 3-1 win, and what was that like for the organization of knowing that you had punched your ticket and you were going to the playoffs?
Well, for everybody but one person, and I'll get back to the one person in a minute.
Okay.
For everybody but one person, it was this huge sense of relief. I mean, it really was the gorilla off the back of an organization. And to see our guys experience that first of what was going to be, 4 or 5 champagne celebrations,
Yeah.
more champagne celebrations, or 3 more champagne celebrations, I should say. But to see them in that much relief, that much excitement, knowing that their season is not going to end on Sunday, which was the only thing they'd ever experienced in that clubhouse.
Yeah.
And the ball, I'll never forget the last out. It was a pop up to Salvi.
Yep.
And Salvi's looking around for somebody to hug as soon as he catches it, And all hell kind of broke loose coming out of our dugout, and I'm down, in the tunnel waiting for the last out, knowing that, we get this out. I'm going to get busy, but it's going to be a good busy. I think the thing that stood out to me more than anything, and I go back to our community, was when I came out of the dugout, it sounded like a home game. Down in the tunnel, you can't really hear anything. And when I came out of the dugout, so many of our fans had taken the train or taken the flights up to be there Friday night to be a part of it once we won on Thursday. And it was unbelievable how many people were sitting along the first base side of the stadium there in Chicago.
I was one of them.
And to hear that, yeah, you saw it, you witnessed it.
I was there.
And to hear that and to see that, and we celebrate on the field for a while, then we go to the clubhouse and do the obligatory champagne celebration. And one of the guys, I couldn't tell you who it was because I just can't remember. Everything's kind of a blur to that point. But somebody said, "Hey, let's go out and celebrate with our fans."
Yep, that was awesome.
And they came piling out of the dugout, and a few guys, Dyson, and a few guys jumped up on the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, all I'm thinking now, I'm going into panic PR mode because do not fall out of the frickin' dugout or fall off the top of the dugout. Don't do anything stupid at this point. We still got games to win. And but to see the enjoyment. And then there was one, and skeptic's not the right word, but it's the first one that comes into my old brain. But Ned was happy. But Ned steadfastly, and this is how, when you're trained in an organization like the Atlanta Braves, they didn't play wild card games. They won divisions. Mm-hmm. And when you're come from that mode, the wild card game was our next test to see if we could get into the playoffs in Ned's mind. Yeah, it was a postseason game, no doubt. I mean, we played after the season ended, regular season ended. But in Ned's mind, we're really going to be, and anybody who was covering the club at that time will remember the weight of the world came off his shoulders after we won the Oakland game.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Because when we got to Anaheim, I mean, I can relive every moment of that. We win the game against the A's, celebrate. Flight leaves probably 2 o'clock in the morning by the time everything's done. It was a 45-minute game. And we're going to Anaheim, and the Angels were kind enough, and we get there on Thursday morning about 5:36 in the morning, and the Angels were kind enough to give us the early workout slot so that they could have the comfortable evening slot. And so I think everybody collectively got 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and we come to the stadium, do press conferences, and Ned sits there at the head table, and he's taking questions, and he is engaging. He is funny. He's the Ned Yost that we all really wanted to see and finally got to know over the last few years of his managerial career, because it just changed him. That win against the A's changed him, and and then every time we won a ball game, he was just, it's just the same old Ned. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I have to tell this story. If you've heard it before, stop me. But after Game 5 in San Francisco, I don't know if you're familiar with the ballpark there, but we lost Game 5 to Bumgarner. And I have to take Ned over to the interview room first. The losing manager goes into the interview room first. And the interview room is adjacent to the Giants clubhouse. The only way to get there from the first base side is to walk across the field, because the tunnel that adjoins the clubhouse is also a fan tunnel. And the last thing I want to do is walk Ned through that tunnel with Giants fans. So we walk across the field, and as we get to the third base side to go up the tunnel, Madison Bumgarner's just finishing up his on-field interviews. And we go down the steps behind him, and Ned starts yelling at him, hey, kid. And Bumgarner blew him off. And he's like, Madison. And so finally Bumgarner turns, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just some media guy yelling at me. I apologize. He says, how you doing? He goes, hey, I just wanted to tell you, that was a hell of a job out there tonight. You're one hell of a pitcher. Congratulations. And Bumgarner said, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. And Bumgarner says to him, he says, I hear you're a hunter. He goes, yeah, I hunt a lot. He goes, maybe we can go on a hunt someday. He says, yeah, maybe we can. And then as Bumgarner says, he says, well, I'll see you. And Bumgarner starts to walk away, and Ned goes, I'm so glad you pitched tonight so I don't have to watch you pitch anymore in this World Series.
Famous last words, no.
And I felt the same way. I mean, I think we all kind of
felt the same way. Yes.
He went 9-9. There's no way he's pitching in 48 hours or 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. But that was the whole point of the story. That was the new Ned. I mean, Ned was he was engaging, even though it was Madison Bumgarner. I mean, it just it was so cool to see him change. And the party in Chicago was nice, but Ned also wanted to win the division, and we lose the next night, which is a whole other story because they had Paul Konerko's retirement party on the field, which delayed the game by about 45 minutes, and Danny Duffy, who had already warmed up, ended up having to re-warm up again, and he gets hurt in the first inning. And that kind of impacted our postseason a little bit, not having the Duff that we had during the season. And then, by that time, the best we could do was just be the wild card. So after we lost the game that night, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
I digress.
Look, Mike, I could listen to hours of these stories. How's the book coming along? I feel like every time I see you, I ask, "Hey, how's that book coming along that you're going to write with your life?" Because my goodness, the stories you could tell.
I'm sitting here in my little office in my house, and I've got a filing system over to my left I'm looking at right now. And in one of the folders is titled Book Ideas.
Awesome.
And I've got pages and pages of notes. So obviously it's something that has crossed my mind more than once. I've just got to sit down and do it.
Wow, yeah.
I just blew a hell of an opportunity. I just had 3 months of not being able to hardly walk with my knee. The new knee that Dr. Key put in, which, by the way, can I pump him real quick?
Sure.
Dr. Vincent Key, who is the team surgeon from KU Med, he's going into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame next week because of all the athletes in the state that he has put on and kept on the field. And then he gets an old washed-up PR guy and puts a new knee in him. And I could have spent the last 3 months sitting on my computer and probably getting a major part of the book done. But instead, I found other ways to be lazy and do my PT and stuff like that. So I got to find the time to do it. I will, though. I think I will. I mean, if God's kind enough to let me live long enough, I think I'll put some effort in and try to do something. Because you've heard the story. A lot of people have heard, my life, if you will, and my mom's life and the A's and Chiefs organizations and things like that. And not to sound morbid or anything, but when I go, they go with me.
Yeah.
And I would like to have some kind of legacy, if you will, or some thought. If somebody buys it, that's great. If they don't, that's fine too. But I think it might be fun to put out there.
I might be first in line to that. I think you'll find out there are a lot of people. Sterling just said I'm second in line. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people that'll be out there that'll buy that book and feel the same way. But you know what? He's joining you in the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. So how about that? So you get to welcome him. He gives you a new knee, and you get to welcome him into the Hall of Fame.
I appreciate the ovation. Yeah. It didn't go without me telling him, it's about time.
I've been sitting here for a while, buddy. Welcome. That's great. Mike Swanson, Vice President, Communications and Broadcasting, and about 100 other titles throughout the years of his illustrious career, joining us to talk about that 2014 team, the reunion, coming up this weekend out at Kauffman Stadium, Union Station celebration tomorrow. Mike, really appreciate the time. Love all the stories. Could talk to you for days about it. But thank you for carving a few minutes out of your day for us to reminisce a little bit about that 2014 team.
Oh, yeah, my days are so full right now. Yeah, like I said, I got to hit golf balls now. So you get your show going, and I'll see you on the links.
Awesome, man. There's Mike Swanson, man. He's the best. It is awesome. I love anytime we get to talk with Mike, because the stories, and every time I talk with him, I find out a new story. Like I learned something new in talking with Mike about different stories of that 14 team, 15, 2013. Him being the one that recorded the Randy Johnson hitting the bird with the baseball. That was Mike Swanson that recorded that. So that video we have is because of Swanee. Like so many different things of his life. And, being a statistician in Maui, working Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell, and just doing so many. Dylan, by the way, just went, huh?
That's the coolest thing I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of great things, but that's awesome.
Yep. Working college football games.
Some late nights with Howard, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
his Wally Joyner stories.
Probably, yes.
I got to keep this bit going now. I got to really dive in.
Yeah, I should have asked him. That would have been a better question. But that's what I'm saying. The book will just be amazing from, his mom working with the A's, Kansas City A's back in the day, and then him I believe, traveling with the Chiefs in the late 60s, early 70s and doing some things. And just the life he's lived around sports, it's fantastic. And glad that he's still in the area. And in the Hall of Fame as well, and has a brand new knee, which is great. So he can go and play some golf.
Now I'm jealous. Like he's
got a brand new knee, or he's playing golf today.
Both, because I know how you play after brand new. My dad got a brand new hip. All of a sudden, his first round back gets a hole in one. He now has a brand new knee. I'm telling you.
So
Swanee,
the new knee is a hole in one. You're counting a hole in one. Okay.
I'm telling you right now, he's gonna have a hell of a round. Whenever you guys have new knees, new hips,
all right,
good things happen.
My mother-in-law is getting a new hip in a couple of weeks, so that means my father-in-law will hit a home run hit a hole in one because she didn't play golf.
Yeah.
So he'll do it. He'll hit the hole in one for her.
Does he need someone? Does he need an extra one in his foursome? I can play with Swanee if you want me to go with him. I'll get some stories.
I don't know how many hole in ones Swanee has. My father-in-law has 7.
Wow.
My father-in-law has 7. Is it holes in one or hole in ones?
Do country clubs just like try and keep him out because of all the?
He's got the plaque
Actually, no,
and the
he
ball.
buys, right? That's the deal. Is you buy? No, they probably want him there.
He's got the plaque and the ball for each and every one of them. Each and every one of those.
Father-in-law, though. So does that mean he's really disappointed in you, or how's that work?
Oh, he's definitely disappointed in me. He's more disappointed in his daughter for choosing me. So that's more.
That was well before golf.
We'll take a timeout. Come back. More Zone next. Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. I remember that Friday night in Chicago. What was the date of that game? It was September 26th, 2014. And the game on Thursday, they had won. And so the magic number was 1 to go to the playoffs. With a wild card, division, whatever, but to go to the playoffs. Magic number was 1. And my wife and I were going to drive up from Louisville to Chicago to watch the weekend series. We had planned it ahead of time. Quick name drop. Will Perdue hooked us up with tickets for, some nice tickets to the White Sox weekend series Saturday and Sunday because of his relationship with Reinsdorf. So they were pretty nice tickets behind the Royals dugout for Saturday and Sunday, which was cool. So we're driving up on Friday to then, stay the night and visit Chicago, things like that. And because of the win the night before and the magic number being 1, we're driving up there, and the Royals take that 3-0 lead in the first inning. And at that point, I may have driven a little too fast because I had made the decision that we're going to go to the game tonight. I know we don't have tickets for tonight because we weren't planning on being there in time to watch the game, but I'm going to take a detour. We're going to the south side. We're going to Comiskey. We're stopping off and we're going to Comiskey, and I don't care that we don't have tickets. I'll figure it out. I'll find a way in to the ballpark. And so we get off the highway and head over to Comiskey and park. Really nice parking right behind home plate. The parking was great. But we didn't have a ticket for Friday night. We had tickets for Saturday and Sunday. And so I go up to the box office, closed. I walk into the, premier seating, club suites, where you walk into like the Kauffman Stadium where you walk in and it's like it's covered and it's inside. You got the elevators in there. And I walk in, I'm like, hey, I was like, yeah, we just drove up. I'd love to buy some tickets. I'm like, oh, well, the box office is closed. I'm like, yeah, but I want to give you my money. Because at this point, it was like the 7th inning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to give you my money. I'm willing to. What's the cost of a ticket? Take my money. This ain't sold out. I am trying to give you money. And you're turning me. The box office is closed, sir. I'm like, but there are unused tickets just sitting back there that you will not get money for. I'm willing to give you $100 right now. But it's not worth the time. It's not worth the trouble and the headache for them to go and give me. I was like, I don't care. Just getting in the building, whatever it is. Like,
scale the fence, Jason.
Yeah.
Be an athlete.
So then we walk out of there, and I'm like, all right, I got to devise a plan to get in. So I'm walking over to a gate, and there's a younger security guard. And I thought the younger security guard would be the smarter one to go to. Long story short, it was not. But I go up to him and I say, hey, my wife left her phone at our seats. Like, can we just run back in there real quick?
Oh, so now you're lying. Okay.
Well, of course I'm lying. I'm trying to get in.
Nice plan. Okay.
Yes, of course I'm lying.
Yeah.
I will deceive whatever it takes to get in. All right, this is a zero-sum game right now, okay? It's a pass-fail. It is I'm in the stadium or I'm not. They're going to win.
Me versus you situation.
That's right. Wade Davis was getting ready to come on in the 8th. The game was over. The game was over, okay? It was ball game. Davis followed by Holland. Ball game over, all right? I needed to get in. So I tell the guy, so then he's like, I don't know. I need to talk to my boss. I'm like, damn it, made a mistake. Young kid. Yeah. I should have gone to somebody older that would have been like, you know what, I can make the go right ahead. Who cares? It's the 7th inning. Nothing, no big deal here, right? Back in the day when they used to open up the gates in the 7th inning, you could just walk in without having a ticket.
Yeah, wait, I thought that was still not a thing there. Okay.
That ain't a thing, no. So now I'm walking around to try to find a ticket stub so that I could at least show the next security guard I go to, because I was just going to go from gate to gate to gate until I found somebody to let me go in, right? I was just going to go gate to. So I need to find a ticket stub. And I'm wearing Royals gear, and my wife and I are walking, And we walk up to this couple, and it's like, hey, do you guys have any tickets? Like, no, we didn't, whatever. And so then I'm walking, and she's like, what about them? I'm like, no. And then I see this guy in his probably mid-40s, wife, number of kids there, and I'm like, I think this guy will understand. He's been a White Sox fan for a long time. He was probably around when they won the World Series with Jermaine Dye and what that meant to the South Side, right? So I bet this guy might be like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
So
right?
how do you approach this guy?
I walked up to him and I said,
Hey,
man,
Chief or hey, buddy?
I said,
Slugger.
What's up, champ? No, I walked up and I was like, hey, mister, may I have please a little bit, maybe a ticket stub, please? No, I walked up and I said, hey, man, this is random, but my wife and I just drove up from Louisville, and big-time Royals fans our whole life. They haven't been in the postseason since 1985. They're about to win, and they'll clinch a postseason berth for the first time since I was 5 years old. They won't let me buy a ticket at the box office. I said, it's random. Would you mind giving me 2 of your ticket stubs so I can just try to talk my way in? And he goes, you know what, man? I'll do you one better. We didn't use these 2 tickets. And he gave me 2 unused tickets.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were club level, which didn't matter to me because we walked in and went right behind the Royals dugout because there was nobody there at that point. White Sox weren't going anywhere. Fans had left. Everybody that was in the stadium that was a Royals fan had started to sort of migrate. That's a great, migrate behind the Royals dugout. So I'm walking down there. I see Randy Gisarelli. So Randy and I have a conversation, and so we're hanging out there because we did the show together back in the day. And we end up watching the 8th and 9th inning there, and there was no better feeling. I was so excited for Salvi to strike out in the top of the 9th because it meant that Holland can come on. Let's get this thing going. It's 3-0. Let's go, man. Or at that point, it was 3-1. It was 3-1. Holland's coming on. Davis gave up a run in the 8th. We were walking down when that happened. But regardless, Salvi strikes out. And then Holland comes on, and we're at that point like 3 rows behind the Royals dugout. The pop-up happens. Salvi catches it. We go crazy. And Swanee's right. About 20 minutes later, the Royals come streaming out of the dugout, and they're on the field, and they're, spraying champagne and everything, and they're throwing their playoff hats. They just clinched the playoff. They got the hats. They're throwing them into the stands. For people, they're signing autographs. Dyson up on the dugout, walking around and celebrating and giving high. It was unbelievable. Just an amazing night. And I had no idea that was the start of what would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 champagne celebrations for the Royals over the next 2 years. Unfreaking real, man. It was awesome. And I'm glad that we decided. I'm glad that we got there safe. I also appreciate not having a ticket along the way, but it was well worth it to be there and celebrate that night in Chicago. Still have the ticket stubs, still have all of that stuff from that night. It was very cool. I don't know who the guy is, but I appreciate him. He was really cool. And I would pay it forward to somebody else if I was out at Kauffman and like, hey, man, look, lifelong Rays fan. No, I'm sure. I don't even know what it would be because the Rays go to the playoffs every year. I don't know. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, wrapping up the hour. We'll talk with Nick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. Thank you to Mike Swanson. Previous part of this hour, talking about that 2014 Royals team, that run. They have the reunion coming up tomorrow and then on into the weekend of what was just a special, awesome, fantastic, memorable ride. I was only able to attend one game at Kauffman. That was Game 2 of the World Series in 2014. Drove in for that one, but was there at Chicago when they wrapped up the playoffs there. But Game 2 was awesome. Me, my brother, nephew was really cool. What a night. They won, which was pretty cool. But we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll talk some schedule release next.
Since 1958, enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We know of 6 of the 17 games for the Chiefs as it currently stands right now.
How worried are you that Sterling is going to be spot on accurate?
We need 0 or 2, right, Dylan?
Yep.
One more, baby.
We need 0 or 2.
One
No.
more. We have 6.
0 2. Yeah, we have 6. Because right now, if we have 0, Jack wins. That's fine. Don't care.
Yeah, he joined late, though.
He did, and he took the open
The open
space.
spot.
Yeah, because I had Dylan had 4. Yeah, that's right. $1, Bob. Dylan had 4. I had 5. You had 7. He took 6. So it's 6 right now. We know the Chiefs play the Baltimore Ravens to start the season on September 5th. NBC. We know the Chiefs play the Cincinnati Bengals that next week, week 2 at home on Sunday, 3:25 CBS. We know the Chiefs head to Atlanta for week 3, Sunday, September 22nd. Don't know the time, but Fox. We know the Chiefs will play in San Francisco on Sunday, October 20th in week 7, 3:25. They play week 11 on the 17th in Buffalo at 3:25. They will play the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas Day on Netflix. Netflix has finalized the deal with the NFL to have 2 live football games on Christmas Day, which I'm pumped about because we go to my in-laws. We go to Louisville for Christmas every year, and they don't have internet there, so I'm really excited about a internet stream only game on Christmas Day. That's cool. Pumped about that one. I guess it can't ruin my day if I can't watch, right? No, I'll watch it on my phone. Watch it on my phone, or I'll turn the hotspot on my phone and use it on my iPad. But then if that's not fast enough, then I'll have to watch it on my phone. I just don't want to watch blurry football. You know what I mean?
I love how the NFL just makes this so hard. Just makes it so difficult.
And there's going to be a December 21st game that's going to be Peacock streamed only game, and that may be the Chiefs as well.
Brutal.
That may be the Chiefs. Why wouldn't it be?
They're making me go to bars.
Because they're
forcing me to go to bars. The NFL, do you understand what you're doing to me?
So you're saying
you're making me order lots of pitchers of beers and wings. How dare you make me spend extra money, NFL?
So what you're doing is you're mad that the NFL is going to make you spend money on streaming, so you're going to go and spend 4 months worth of the subscription to that streaming to go to a bar for one night.
Yes. Now hear me
makes
out.
sense. Way to fight back.
Fight the man,
local.
Sterling. I'm shopping local. I will go to my local dive bar, and maybe they don't even have food.
You don't
I'll
let them
eat
push
the
you
bar
around.
nuts, and I will crush my stag. And you're not getting NFL. You're not getting my money.
No, the local bar.
The local bar. I'm
all right.
Johnny's
that's fine.
is.
It helps the
there you go.
Johnny's
getting
is
your money.
I help the economy.
I'm not
Hurts
giving
no
my money
one.
to Hulu or Netflix. So you're going to go to a bar on Christmas? You gonna be that guy?
Possible.
Okay. How many bars are open on Christmas?
I don't know.
The cool ones.
Well,
they'll probably be open for the Chiefs game.
They might.
I mean,
be.
honestly, restaurants
See,
and
there we go.
bars probably be open for the Chiefs game on December 25th because it's Netflix and streaming only.
My old
Also, I don't know who-
dumbass has cable.
Who doesn't have you have Netflix though?
I have Netflix.
Netflix is like the original one. I think everybody's got
Well,
Netflix.
I take
or you
from
got somebody
someone.
else's
yeah,
password.
I take someone else's password. It's
Yeah.
become they cracked down.
Oh, I bet they have.
And now I have to use it as I'm on vacation, which I have to make sure that
Like Forrest Gump's dad.
yeah, it's not ideal. It really it's ass. The NFL is just. You cannot tell I'm heated, Jason.
You know the other matchup on Christmas Day. Have you seen the doubleheader matchup? We know the Chiefs are heading to Pittsburgh. Do you know what the other matchup is on Christmas Day?
I know Germany's getting Giants and Panthers or something like that.
It's a really good day of football. The other matchup is Ravens and Texans on Christmas Day. Now I'd be pissed if it was the Chiefs and like the Bills or the Bengals or the Ravens, or a game where you're like, all right, this is midweek. It's on a Wednesday. You've had 4 days rest because you just played on a Saturday. So you've got Sunday, Monday, 3 days rest. So it's like a Sunday to Thursday. And you're playing one of the most important games of the year that could have huge playoff implications. 1 week before the season is over, that would be annoying. Now, you don't need to lose to the Steelers because that's probably postseason implications for the Chiefs. Maybe for the Steelers, we'll see. But postseason implications of winning a division, winning the 1 seed, 2 seed, whatever it is. But Ravens and Texans is a big one. That's a huge game. I'd be pretty annoyed if the Christmas Day game was one that was that massive for my team. Ravens now will start the season on the road against the Chiefs in week 1, the banner raising, and then play another one of their non-division huge matchups that could dictate seeding on Christmas Day against the Texans.
In fairness, they can't win in the playoffs whether they're at home or on the road. So for the Ravens, it doesn't really matter.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's like we're talking about the Dolphins, who, if it's not 75 and sunny, they all of a sudden are like, guys, come on, we need some heaters down here.
Yeah. They didn't need it was just cold enough in that game against the Dolphins. And cold enough in that game against Baltimore. And the hero of that Baltimore game, we all know, is MVS. Right? Isn't that who you think of first when you think of the big plays that were made in that Baltimore Ravens game?
I mean,
MVS?
Slightly.
Yeah. No, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
And the Bills now have playoff MVS to replace playoff Gabe Davis. They're
That's
like, you know what?
right.
Who's a guy in the regular season who doesn't show up but decides to have his best game to the playoffs? Well, we lost one, so we might as well bring in another guy who's just like that.
MVS is going to be the wide receiver that gets to drop passes from Rodgers, Mahomes, and now Josh Allen. Like, what other wide receiver can say that they drop passes from all three of those guys?
That actually is pretty cool to
drop passes from Rodgers, Mahomes,
I know
and
you're
Josh
being
Allen.
Facetious right now, but like, how cool is it to, like, 20 years, 30 years from now? Who are your quarterbacks? Hey, Dad, who are your quarterbacks? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
There are wide receivers out there, and I can go through and find them if I wanted to, but I really don't want to. There are some wide receivers out there that have played with terrible quarterbacks throughout their entire career, and they're like, this guy gets Rodgers, Mahomes, and now Josh Allen to play his football with? Really? Really, that guy, what has he done to get to play for those three guys, those three quarterbacks? Rodgers, Mahomes, and now Josh Allen.
Garrett Wilson, like, I was promised to Aaron Rodgers, and I have had Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, and another dude who no one knows his name.
Got 4 snaps from Aaron Rodgers. I was promised Aaron, and I got Zeke. I got that guy. I got the Mormon Mahomes, who
Broncos Cortland Sutton's just sitting there, just like, okay, we got Russell Wilson, and no, we got high knees.
Yeah, and we got that guy. He's doing the calisthenics on the plane, so that's good. He is Mr. Unlimited in annoyance. And now we get
Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix,
Zach Wilson.
Mr. Unlimited.
Now you get Zach Wilson. Now Garrett Wilson's like, hey, and take that, Cortland Sutton. And Cortland's like, yeah, what are you talking to me for? I've been dealing with this for a while. What are you talking about? This has been my career, Zach or Garrett. At least there was a plan for year number 2 for you. You played 2 years of your career with Zach Wilson. Now you get Rodgers back for at least 5 snaps against the 49ers this go around, right? He's going to play longer this year. Don't you expect Rodgers to play more snaps this year than he did last year? At least 5.
Yeah, the over-under. It's like
4.5.
when you're playing a game, and you're like over-under. You're playing Ride the Bus. You're drinking game. All of a sudden, a king's up. You're like, well, no way. It's an ace, right? So you're like, oh, it's lower. The ace shows up. That's what that would feel like.
See all the Jets fans all pissed off about Rodgers starting the year on Monday Night Football with the Jets. Like, really? He tore his Achilles last year on Monday night, and he's coming back, and now you're going to put him on Monday night to start the year? Like, do you think it's going to happen twice in a row? Do you think he tore his Achilles because the game was on Monday night?
Like, if it was on a Sunday,
Yeah.
he's good. He's golden.
Like,
So
his
if it's on a
Achilles wasn't
Sunday,
ready
no
to go?
chance. Yeah. Sunday's money. Sunday, no issue. He's used to that. Monday, apparently, for Jets fans, is a disaster zone.
Clearly.
Do they like Fireman Ed up there? Like, I feel like it's a very heated situation with Fireman Ed.
Is that a pun?
It's about 50-50.
Yeah, I've talked to some Fireman Ed, just some Jets fans. Like, that guy is not what we're about.
Well, I mean, it's like any other like super fan, like X Factor. I mean, he's like, oh, X Factor, I bet he's loved.
no.
I think that their
No,
issue
no.
with Fireman Ed was that there was a disappearance of his super fandom from a stretch of you know a lot of losing, and he's just kinda
post
come
Mark
back again.
Sanchez to
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
which is wild when you have to
Right.
say Mark Sanchez was maybe the the glory years in recent Jets history.
I don't know. It does suck that Chiefs fans are known for Chiefsaholic. I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing? He loves his Chiefs so much that he's willing to rob banks so he can.
Allegedly Rob Banks for it.
No,
Not anymore.
not anymore.
We don't have to say
not
allegedly. I'm just
No.
always making sure I don't get
No, not anymore.
get sued,
Yeah,
Jason.
no, not anymore.
His knee was down, so remember he admitted.
I was
From
told
the
his
beginning,
knee
the
never
government
went
has
down.
been blitzing.
Yeah, there you go.
The pocket was collapsing. God. But yeah, known for that. I don't know. Is it a good thing that the fandom is so great that this guy's willing to travel the country, rob banks, so he can support his love of going to road games and
Yeah.
gambling on Chiefs?
Maybe I'm
props?
wrong, but Marlins man seems way less problematic. That guy went to all games.
Yet more annoying. I don't know why it is. It's weird. Why do people hate Marlins, man? It's like
I don't get it.
because he's got to be front and center, right? He's got to be the guy that has the attention on him. I've got to sit right behind home plate wearing my Marlins gear.
If you had a lot of
be
money,
known as
what else are you
Marlins
gonna
man.
do? You gonna sit in the upper deck? Like, if he's got a lot of cash and you're going to a game, you're like, well, yeah, give me good seats.
Yeah, I would love to have that lifestyle. I'm just traveling around and going to great games and sitting front and center. That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, I feel like people
Wouldn't
are
it
just
be more
haters.
fun though with the orange, like do like a Where's Waldo, like when they do like the crowd pans, or just wear like a ridiculous color, and then like people have to point him out when they do the crowd
Oh,
shots.
hey, look, there's
There he
and-
is. you
Yeah,
know.
and Bert will
It's like a
circle him on
Where's
Twins
Waldo.
broadcasts. Like, oh, there he is right there. Circle me, Bert.
Might be an avenue for you, Sterling.
There you go.
Oh,
Pick that up.
You think me? Okay.
Travel the world.
Is this
You'd be the
being
Where's Waldo Carmen San Diego.
Is this being funded by 810 or
No, robbing banks, duh.
allegedly robbing banks?
Not anymore.
No.
Well, for you, it might be allegedly. I'm not sure if you've already done this or not.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, the cops are on their way, by the just to let you know. Yeah, and you
Long
can
jump.
you
Long
can
jump
travel.
out the studio.
How long did he get to enjoy that lifestyle? Is it worth it? I mean, 3-4 years of living the dream and traveling around and being Chiefsaholic and wearing your wolf gear and
I thought
going
you
to
had warehouses.
Running 40s.
running 40s, going to Chiefs games, living the life, gambling, having friends on Twitter, right? Having your following.
It
Now-
would
working
nice to
in
be have
silence,
friends
you know?
on Twitter. Yeah, it would be
Right,
nice
yeah,
to have that.
and all you got to sacrifice for that 4-year run is like the next 30 years of your life. Like,
Jordan
isn't
run. That was a Jordan run right
Doesn't
there.
that feel worth it, right? Doesn't that feel like it'd be cool? Or you can be just a lame-o and go about your life and, not break the law and not get to go to those Chiefs games and have to watch them on TV or Netflix. He didn't have to watch anything streaming only. He was there, Sterling. That's
Or
what I'm
like
saying.
A media pass, maybe.
No, he couldn't get a media pass.
Well, I mean, for us, like we don't.
He couldn't
really
even
need
buy
to-
one. He tried, but didn't have enough money, so he robbed another bank. Still not enough money. They would not credential him to be at that game.
Shocking.
Yeah,
Shocking they wouldn't credential a guy in a wolf suit.
yeah,
Shocking.
yeah. But Jets fans, Fireman Ed, Bills, Mafia, Chiefs, Chiefsaholic.
You're gonna have a crazy person out of all the
Yeah.
the numbers of fans that you have. There's
Yeah.
gonna be a couple.
Lakers, Jack Nicholson, Cavs, LeBron, like all these famous Mavericks, Mahomes. You sit in front and center at that game.
Yeah.
Famous fans. I don't know how many other fan bases have a specific fan that people talk about as their fan.
Spike Lee.
Well, with the Knicks, yeah. I was kind of thinking football at that point. I know I ventured off.
you've
I
just
ventured off into the
bounced
NBA. I
around,
did.
yeah.
I did. I ventured off into the NBA with the Lakers and
like
Mavericks,
a
et cetera.
football Spike Lee, you mean?
Yeah, like NFL. Like it's Fireman Ed, it's Chiefsaholic, it's Bills Mafia.
Would it be Bradley Cooper with the Eagles?
That's a good one.
Could be. Or Miles
good
Teller.
call. Yeah.
But like somebody that's like the super fan that's there every game, that's like what people think of with their fans. Now, unfortunately, with like,
Taylor Swift for the Chiefs.
yeah, that's a good point. Now it's Taylor Swift. Tay-Tay. I'll take Tay-Tay over Chiefsaholic. Be a Swiftaholic. They should name him like Swifties or something. He could have been named a Chiefsy instead of Chiefsaholic.
I hate everything you're doing with this.
You're dancing a dangerous line now, bringing Swifties and Chiefsaholic into the same sentence.
They need to know the past. They need to understand what the history of this organization is. You can't just jump on board and feel like the history started in September of 2023.
Show them Tyler Thigpen. Show them the potential of Thigpen. Get Thiggy with it.
That's right. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you must sit down.
It's
and
like
watch,
Clockwork Orange with the eyes.
That's right. You have to sit down and watch the no punt game.
Oh.
You have to sit down and you got to watch that divisional round against the Colts in 95. You've got to sit down and watch that. All right, Swifties?
Which one's worse, that or 13?
13. 13 was brutal, man.
95 or 13?
With Andrew Luck, when Andrew Luck
being up 30.
Yes, up
points.
30.
95 was worse than 13.
Was it 28 points? I believe is what it was.
95 and 2003 were worse than 13.
Okay, well, I was 1 in 95.
That's your own problem.
I should have been born
That's a
earlier.
you issue.
Yes,
that's a you issue. See, that's not having live the experience.
Because didn't they start Gerback over Gannon in that game
They did.
too?
Yeah, but you're up 28 points.
Yeah, but you weren't doing anything in the playoffs. 95, they had home field advantage.
Yeah,
2003, it was like the winner of that one may, go on and go to the Super Bowl, not knowing that the, Patriots and all of that stuff. But like that was the no punt game. Chiefs offense was just unbelievable. Defense, can you get by with that defense? But they were scoring on everybody. You had a real feel that you could win the Super Bowl that year. 95, that was the expectation. Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl in 95. And that was real, true heartbreak, like real tears for 15-year-old me watching that game and Jim Harbaugh run out of the tunnel with his, index finger in the air of number one and Lynn Elliott, walking off the field.
What name?
Lynn Elliott.
No.
That was the name of the guy that sucked.
You cannot name It's like Harry
And
Potter.
Gerback. And Gerback as well.
He who shall not be named. You do not say.
Or no, Bono. It was Bono 95. Bono 95.
It's pronounced Bono.
Oh, you're right. Because that
Bono
Gerback
95. Gerback and Gannon were the argument in 97, but they stayed with Gerback the whole game.
Which was the wrong.
Gannon came in for Bono in that Colts game after Bono had thrown his fourth interception.
And
then Gannon came in and was just like, all right, let's go up and down the field now. Let's just get this thing rolling. Marty waited a little too long for that to happen and stayed with Gerback the entire game. And for whatever reason, by the way, that 1997 game, you want to be really annoyed? Go watch that final drive for the Chiefs
I've seen it.
when they were trailing to the Broncos and they had like 2.5 minutes to go and 3 timeouts.
And it felt like they had 13 seconds,
But somehow they got to like the 30-yard line with like 25 seconds left and no timeouts. Like just the difference in a 2-minute drill now versus back then, the absurdity of it being like 4th and 1, Kimball Anders wide open. Instead, you throw it down the field to Lake Dawson in a jump ball because you had wasted so much time that you didn't feel like you could just pick up the easy first down and extend the chains. It was like watching, you're pulling your hair out watching it now versus what a 2-minute drill looks like today. Twitter would have been losing their minds. Twitter lost their minds when the Chiefs against the Patriots down by 2 scores took 7 minutes to score in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
On the road. Twitter lost their minds in that game. Imagine going back to 97 where you've got all that time and timeouts and you end up picking up like 35 yards and throw a jump ball to end the game. I digress, though. Like we said, Chiefs all.
I do think the Chiefs' issue in the 90s where they kept going with quarterbacks who had musicians' names.
Well, they kept going with 49ers quarterbacks.
Bono and Elvis. They were really trying to
Joe
bring
Montana.
Elvis. Yeah, there you go. Cotton Eye Joe.
It was 49ers quarterbacks. What it was.
Yeah.
You go Montana to Bono to Gerback. They should have gone young. They should have went Steve Young. Why didn't they go Steve Young? That would have been the smarter one to go. Wouldn't Steve Young have been a better choice?
Least favorite quarterback to watch go up against the Chiefs growing up for me, Jake Plummer, hands down. That guy,
Why?
just
growing up, that's because you were born in 2005.
94. But just in general, I don't know about
So
you.
not
Dylan.
John Elway. Bootlegs. Yeah,
Not as
John
bad
Elway.
as, Bubby Brister's bootleg or something like that.
Oh man, Jake Plummer, just frustrating.
You think of
frustrating.
You think of quarterbacks.
I don't
running,
think good.
Hold on. You think of frustrating quarterbacks running bootlegs against the Chiefs, and your mind goes to Jake Plummer and not Elway.
Come on.
What are you, 5?
Bear
Even,
with
like
me.
I said, Bubby Brister above
Yeah.
Plummer. He ran for a touchdown.
What are you, 15 years
Okay,
old, man?
bear with me, guy. I'm telling you, Jake Plummer was because he wasn't good. Elway was at least good, talented. Jake Plummer you're like, this guy is giving you the business right now?
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about the NFL schedule release. There are 6 games that we know about for the Chiefs. We know the Christmas Day matchup. We know 4 of the 9 road games right now. We don't know any Monday Night Football games. We know 2 games will be played on Monday night. So we'll come back. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Christmas Day playing that game. We know a Black Friday
Raiders.
game, Raiders.
Yep.
So that's out now?
Oh yeah. Sorry, that about 10 or 13 minutes ago.
Is that number 7? Dylan, I'm not good at math.
That's number 7.
Can you count for me?
That's number 7.
Jason, can you count for me?
I don't want to count for you.
Are we going off the total or the leaks? Like the act? These...
No, we know that the total number of games that we will have, that's 7 now.
That's way more than 7.
Of the 17 games. You've got way more leaks now?
Oh, there's a ton.
All right, we'll come back and we'll talk about that. I need to be caught up. I'm sitting here with 6. We're talking about Chiefsaholic and Cotton Eye Joe and Fireman, Jed. On Sports Radio 810, the schedule release special with Jack Johnson, and then we'll have Westwood One's show of the schedule release starting at 7 o'clock, and then, of course, Covell Hudson will come on right after it's over and break down all of those games and the schedule and see what the Chiefs may do this year. So I had counted 6 games, and now we know 7 games with the Raiders on Black Friday in Week 13. And apparently, as Dylan has said, there are some more confirmed or some more that are expected to be confirmed, and that would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 9, which would be a home game. The Broncos in Week 10, is that a home or a road game? I think that's a home game for the Chiefs. They would head to the Bills. We know about the Raiders. And then Week 16, the Chiefs will play the Texans at home on Saturday. A Saturday game, Week 16, which, by the way, one of those games on Saturday will be streamed only. We talked with Todd yesterday, right? And Todd said his expectation is that with the NFL on December 21st, putting games on that day to go up against the first round of the college football playoffs, right? College football playoffs wanting to dominate, the NFL not letting anybody have any shine. So they're going to go up against the college football playoff, and they're going to put a premier game there. That was Todd's expectation yesterday. And he said they'll put a premier game, and what premier team better than the Chiefs? Texans at Chiefs in the first round of the college football playoff this year. And one of those Saturday games will be streamed only. So there's a chance the Chiefs could have Week 16 and Week 17 stream only.
I am upset. Some bars around me are making a lot of money, and they're thrilled because I will not.
That's great.
I will not bend the knee to the tyranny of the NFL. I will go to a bar.
You're not going to kiss the ring to the NFL. Roger Goodell's ring. You're not going to kiss it.
I will have to go to a bar, and they're going to force me to drink. I don't know, 6 beers at least, a couple of rum and cokes.
Okay.
A few whiskey on the rocks, maybe a martini. I don't know.
Maybe gin.
Yeah, I like gin. Yeah,
Or
gin
vodka.
martini. If you give me a vodka martini, we're throwing hands.
I didn't know.
Okay, maybe like a couple of Rumplemint shots here and there.
Great.
We'll find out. That bar's lucky. The NFL.
Little Pappy?
No
Little
bar's
Pappy celebration?
carrying Pappy.
Little Pappy celebration?
I texted Mick to bring us. He said, "Can you bring you guys anything?" I go, "Yeah, Pappy would be great."
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you're busy. You're a busy man, Jason.
Yes, that's
you
right.
never
Yeah.
look at your phone.
It's I'm doing a radio show for
what's
4 hours, Sterling. I don't know about you.
You know what's gonna suck is when Mizzou is playing the first round and it's Mizzou and Chiefs playing at the same time, and I will have to try.
It's not going to suck. That's going to be amazing, by the way.
Screen.
There is no world, no matter. Mizzou can play at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's true.
There is nothing that would suck about if they played a playoff game. That would be amazing.
But my point is,
care.
it's going to be a home game because
It's going to be Mizzou
record,
versus K-State.
and so it's going to be in Columbia. So how am I going to watch the Chiefs game when I'm in Columbia?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
It's a good point.
just thinking ahead here.
As you should. We don't have a Chargers matchup here, so I'm going to go on a limb and say that's going to be Week 18.
Yeah,
that they're going to play the Chargers, either a home or a road game, Week 18. Probably a road game in L.A. last week of the season, because that would be the expectation of the second best team in the division. And the second best team in the division, they want to save those games for the end. How many years in a row have they faced off against the Chargers to end the season?
all of them.
Every of the years in a row. That makes sense. So I'm going to go Chargers Week 18 as the finale before they and maybe it won't matter. Maybe it'll just be a game where you rest everybody after
it's not
defeating the
gonna matter.
Steelers on Christmas Day.
The Chargers are not a good team this year.
Yeah, but I mean, does it matter for record-wise if you've already wrapped up the one
as
seed?
far
does it
as
matter?
Ravens, Texans,
Yeah,
those
right.
are the two teams I think the Chiefs really have to worry about in the AFC. And you're right, they're playing. The
They're
Texans
playing
late,
each other.
The Ravens week 1, but Ravens and Texans are playing week
17. When the Chiefs play the Steelers on Christmas Day in Week 17, first game of Week 17, Texans and Ravens are playing. So we might have an answer then. Like the interest level from the Chiefs' standpoint, of that day on Christmas Day, to be around the TV or your tablet device of some sort, watching those games because of the Chiefs and Steelers game and what the implications of the Ravens and Texans are, because the Chiefs would have already played the Ravens and Texans. Yeah. And by the way, the Texans, back-to-back weeks, are going to play the Chiefs and the Ravens.
Well, this is what they get now. I mean,
you're playing a first-place schedule, man.
The Texans last year, if anyone listened to me last year, the Texans were my surprise team. Yeah, no one listened to me, but if they would have had some good insight and won some money and had some fun with their friends. Texans. I was all in on the Texans last year before the season started.
Yeah.
Look what happened. But now, you mentioned it, now it's a first-place schedule. Now it's, okay, now teams are no longer saying we're playing the Texans. Now it's, oh, my goodness, we're playing the Texans. We're playing an elite team. I think they are a top 3 team in the AFC. They've done everything you're supposed to do when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. Their best wide receivers, rookie contracts. Their best defensive players, rookie contracts, and Derek Stingley Jr., as well as Will Anderson. But they've supplemented that, especially defensively, with some nice veteran pieces. But now they're not – no one's rolling over now. Now everyone understands going into that game they're getting their best shot. And how will the Houston Texans handle that remains to be seen. The Ravens, they've been there. The Chiefs have been there. We understand that they know what teams are presenting them with. Texans, this is a new step for them.
So the games that we know, Week 5, the Chiefs will play the Saints on Monday Night Football at home, Week 5. These are the games that have either been confirmed or they are out there and expected to be confirmed or released tonight in the schedule release. We know they play 2 Monday Night Football games because Joe Buck has already said they have the Chiefs twice on Monday Night Football. One of those, Saints and Chiefs. Interesting. That would be a choice for them. That would be Week 5. Bucks at Chiefs, Week 9. Broncos at Chiefs, Week 10. Chiefs head to the Bills, Week 11. Raiders and Chiefs, Black Friday in Week 13. Texans and Chiefs, Saturday before Christmas, Week 16. That means 7 of the 8 home games have already been scheduled, have already been fit in here, 7 of the 8. Ravens, Bengals, Saints, Bucks, Broncos, Raiders, Texans. Is that?
So no Chargers then, correct?
Yeah, 7 So no, we haven't seen the Chargers either home or road. I'm going to guess.
And so that could be Week 18 or it could be, yeah.
I'm going to guess that I'm not going to guess. You know what? I'm not going to guess.
Do some cipher in here, Jason.
Yeah.
Go ahead and cipher this.
Here's what I'm going to get. I'm going to guess the Chiefs have Week 12 off.
Late bye.
That's good.
I'm going to guess the Chiefs are off Week 12 because we know about Week 9, 10, 11, and 13.
Where do you think the Panthers are? I think they're 15 or... Because you can't put them in between the Saints and Falcons at 4.
I'm good with if they were at Week 15. And then the Chiefs would be coming off a bye playing on Black Friday against the Raiders at home.
That's going to be awesome.
And then you get the Panthers.
And then the Panthers mixed in there.
And Texans gauntlet. How about that? Saturday to Wednesday. It's not terrible, but it's not great.
I'm going to say that Chargers game is going to be a home game. I'm going to say they're going to end with a road game. I think
18?
they're going to I think
they're
going
going
to end with
bases
back-to-back.
right there. You covered both. You said home and
No,
away.
I think they're going to
nice.
end with back-to-back road games.
It was a road game last year in Los Angeles for the final week.
Yep. And then they'll face off against the Chargers let's go week 14. I don't know, 15, 14, 15, something like that. We'll find out. So there you go. We know of the 7 home dates. And we have yet to fill in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other games. So we have blown past the 4 prediction of Dylan. My prediction of 5.
Yeah, bad guess.
Jack's prediction of 6. And your prediction of 7.
Yeah, you made fun of me for thinking that 7.
Yeah, but you're
was
still
too
wrong
many.
though.
No, it's the highest without going over, and I was the highest without busting. So for that reason alone,
that wasn't the rule. That wasn't the rule.
I'm still the winner, Jason.
No, this was a pass-fail. It was you either got it right or you did not.
I passed.
No, you didn't. They passed you. It's at 11. You had 7.
Dylan,
Is 11
Dylan.
Is 11 the same as 7?
You can add your number
My
to
son
mine.
is in 2nd grade. He knows 11 is not the same as 7.
No, but
I can ask him right
7
now.
out of 11 is what's the percent? That's 63%,
I have no idea. I'll let you do the math.
right? 63-ish percent. So that's pass. That's a passing grade.
Is
4
that right?
out of 11. Yikes, Jason. Atrocious.
I was 4 out of 11.
Yeah, I was 5. Come on now.
Okay,
I
fine.
didn't finish last
That's still
in the
under
class.
50%.
I didn't finish last. Are we grading on a curve? Because I can still pass then, too.
If it's a curve, I'm looking real good.
I know, and we're all looking. We all pass if it's grading on a curve. Thank you for not being, closer to the number. The worst person in the class is the grading on a curve, and they get like a 98%. Like,
That's true, yeah. You're like,
jerk. Now you only raised me from 58 to 60.
how dare you study and actually remember there was a test today?
God, I hate her. Always have.
Why was it a her? So there's an actual person that Jason's thinking about.
It could be either one. It's not a specific person.
It seemed like a specific person there.
Maybe this is a stereotype, but I always feel like the competition in academics happens more with the females in high school, where the athletic competition is typically more of the men. Because I wasn't really challenging other, guys with, grades. But I think historically, like if you're talking about getting good grades and things, I feel like it's more of a competition. I could be wrong. Again, it might be just stereotypical in my mind.
I don't think it was
looking back.
girls that made up C's get degrees. I think that was a man.
And D's get diplomas, baby.
B's and C's get degrees, baby. Yeah, so killing the curve, yeah. I'm going to go with she does it all the time. It's ridiculous. Every time, valedictorian, good for you. Oh, I'm gonna go to
All
a
I
good
know is I
school.
passed, and Jason, I'm sorry.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling more zone next. The Texans in back-to-back weeks in Week 15 and 16. The Texans will host the Ravens. The Texans will come to Kansas City in Week 16 and then host the Ravens in Week 17 on Christmas Day. So the Texans, two of their biggest matchups, first-place schedule outside the division, will be back-to-back weeks in Week 16 and 17, Saturday before Christmas in Kansas City, Christmas Day in Houston, taking on Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Back-to-back weeks. Hey, get your popcorn ready. It's time to take your diapers off and go to work. They're expected to be a good team. They're going to have to prove it this year.
This is really fun, and I think it's really interesting. The Ravens and the Chiefs were in that category for a while, right? And then it was the Ravens getting washed out, and it was the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs. Right, it was Bills, Bengals, Chiefs. Bills, Bengals, Chiefs. Well, now it's Texans, Ravens, Chiefs. There's always been a one constant, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's what makes it so fun. And I think the NFL is, I don't want to say scrambling, but they'd like to have these natural rivalries take place. The issue is no team has consistently been able to hang with the Chiefs. The Bills have had their success in the regular season. The Bengals have had their success mostly, they got them once, but mostly in the regular season. But with those two teams not getting it done with both those quarterbacks on rookie deals, and now they're having to find ways to pay those guys, those teams are starting to get decimated. They're no longer in my opinion, Super Bowl contention. Things have to really go right for those two teams. So now the NFL is trying to pitch the Texans. Now they're trying to pitch the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, but it's still the Chiefs because the Chiefs again have done it multiple ways. They did it with they did it with Mahomes on a rookie contract. They did it with Mahomes not on a rookie contract, and that's what makes the Chiefs, in my opinion, dynasty so sustainable. They have found a recipe of doing it the hard way. Winning with the quarterback on a rookie deal, that's the easy way. When did Russell Wilson win his Super Bowl in the Seahawks?
His rookie year,
his rookie contract.
Yeah.
Right? It's the easier way to do it. It's the harder way when you have to all of a sudden start paying your quarterback. Right now, the Texans are trying to do it the easy way. The Ravens are trying to do it the hard way. But the Bills and Bengals did not have any success doing it the easy way, and they're kind of getting washed aside.
By the way, now looking at it, the Chiefs are playing on Black Friday against the Raiders. So day after Thanksgiving, they're playing the Raiders, Black Friday. Which goes right up against some big-time college football games on Black Friday. If the Chiefs against the Texans on Saturday, December 21st is the Peacock game, now that game will be locally over the air, I believe. Will be NBC locally over there. Nationally would be Peacock. If that is the stream, using air quotes, stream only for outside of the market, Peacock, that would mean 3 games in a 5-game stretch for the Chiefs would be on the internet. Black Friday is Amazon Prime. If that game against the Texans is on Peacock, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas Day is on Netflix, would be 3 of the 5 games. 3 games in a 5-game stretch that are on streaming. 2 of those, by the way, wouldn't be over the air.
I'm going to throw hands.
Netflix for sure. Amazon Prime, that's not over the air, right?
Raj.
That's just on Amazon Prime. Yeah, that doesn't go over the
Internet's just a fad.
It's going away. What's the internet? All right, hanging out on a Wednesday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. Mick Schaefer will join us at some point this hour. He would have been here on time, but then Dylan demanded a blue glacier freeze Gatorade.
Yep.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay, so
An item
Dylan
that
said
every single gas station has.
if you don't show up with a blue glacier freeze Gatorade, don't bother coming in. It's an odd text to Mick Schaefer, just out of thin air.
Here it comes. Here it is.
Mick Schaefer's
He's
now walking
carrying
down the hallway.
a armload of drinks right now.
I mean,
Oh, it's a big one too. He gave.
oh my
now I feel
goodness,
bad.
yeah. Now
I
he's
feel
That's a
bad.
big.
he's going to
one.
be fully hydrated for the next 3 days.
Thanks,
Well,
Mick.
Dylan, he got the largest size Gatorade ever.
Did you get the twisted tea too?
No, just one drink per person.
Oh, one
Yeah,
per person.
He was
Okay.
going to get you a twisted tea.
Man, I thought if I got drinks, someone would have headphones out here for me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you need headphones? That would have been nice for like one of the guys that got a drink from you.
Yeah, one of them.
Hey,
to
thank
hook up
you.
your
Thank you.
headphones?
If I'll be the first to say it, thank you, Mick, for bringing me a coffee.
Thank you, or
Was that thank? Was that a thank?
Thank
Thank.
you.
Thank?
Thank.
Thank or thank?
Thank.
Rewind that tape.
It's by the way, that reminds me real quick.
They
Quick as-
had Dylan's drink back in the back on some pallets.
That
had
makes
just
sense.
come in on a special truck.
Yeah, he actually had to wait for they're like, actually, we're going to get it here at
They're like,
12:45.
this flavor came out last week. So
It's a
yeah,
new one. But the thank you. Did you see a lot of the clips of NBA on TNT, the pregame that were going around with Shaq, Chuck, Kenny, Ernie, and it's like this is why they were the best. This is why they were the best, right? Because Shaq and Chuck were not on last night's NBA on TNT broadcast. Apparently, they were meeting with the higher ups at Turner to present the reasons why they should stay, that basketball should stay there with.
I see.
It's the greatest of all time. Like,
Right, I
How is
agree.
that even a
But
debate?
but the reports were that's why Chuck
Why
and Shaq.
why they should re-sign with the NBA,
Yes,
or why that
yeah,
crew
why
should
why
say-
they
yeah.
why they should resign because if the NBA leaves Turner, Ernie is staying there.
Yes.
Ernie's so then you would break up that those four guys. But one of the things last night that people were showing was like, well, this is why it's so great. This was like from 2018 when Shaq was reading one of the liners to come back, and it was about a new show on TNT, and it starts this Thursday, and everybody he read the whole thing, and they gave him a high five, and Chuck was like, hold up. You guys are congratulating because he knows how to read? And Shaq was like, why don't you do it then? Why don't you do it? He's like, no, why don't you do it then? Why don't you do it? And Chuck goes, all right. TNT, Alini, but and he just starts stuttering. He's like, no, y'all are good. And then he said, starting this Thursday. And then Kenny was like, this? And Chuck was like, this. He's no. This is not a word, Chuck. It was great, man. And just going back and forth, that whole thing. Their chemistry is just awesome. There was another video that was put out there about Kenny the Jet wanting a new car, but it was going to be like $80 to fill up the tank. And then Shaq was like, well, why are you waiting for it to get to empty? Just wait for it to get to half full
Yes.
and then pay $20 to fill it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's $80 to fill the tank. Right, but just wait till it gets half full, and now it only costs you $20. And so it took him like 2.5 minutes.
First of all, it's bad math. It also doesn't make sense either. You're still paying the same amount.
That's
yes.
what Kenny was trying. And Chuck was like, no, you're missing the point. You're waiting for it to get all the way down, and you're paying $80. Don't wait for it to get that low, and you're not having to pay that much. And Kenny was like, but now I'm stopping more to get gas, but paying the same. No, you're not. Shaq was just dying on this limb.
And Ernie is like, just please stop. Please go to break.
Like those organic interactions are something we don't see. It is probably, you know what it is? I think it's the only show that has specifically to do with a game that is being broadcast that night on that network that I don't care about whatever game they're talking about. It doesn't matter what, like if it's.
I don't know. A lot of times I don't know if those guys know what game they're talking about or
Doesn't even matter.
There's no research. It's just guys that have played and they have the license to just tell it like it is, or at least how they see it.
Doesn't even matter what the game is. It's immaterial. Like we watch like NBC Sunday Night Football, and they're doing a pregame. We're watching it because they're breaking down whatever game's coming up that night, and it's a fantasy. Who's starting? What are the matchups going to be? And you're listening to those conversations.
It's a bunch of guys that are kind of stay in their lane. They're kind of right down the middle. Rodney Harrison's the edgy one of the bunch, but he's nothing compared to those guys. It's like Conan, right? When he took over the Tonight Show, he was way funnier than Jay Leno. But NBC, ABC, CBS, right, the broadcast, you're looking at your demographics, right? You're taking all these focus groups and everything, and you're trying to find somebody that's going to bring in the biggest audience, not necessarily who's funniest to you or who's edgiest. And then what Conan went to TBS, right? And he was way funnier than Jay Leno, just nobody watched him. So it's kind of like what's going on with these guys, I imagine. That's why they're
not watching
considering not renewing with the NBA.
I watch like my NBA on TNT halftime post-game show, minutes that are spent, like percentage of that show versus the percentage of the game, it's probably threefold. Now, those are shorter shows, so the post-game and halftime is shorter than the actual NBA game. But I'm flipping around and in and out when the game's going on, and it's sort of in the background. But when those guys are talking, I've got the volume up. And I'm listening to them talk because it is incredibly entertaining, and it would be an American treasure if that thing is broken up. When it's got
a travesty, I think it'd be not a treasure.
It would be it would be breaking up an American treasure. It would be a travesty to break up what is an American treasure of broadcasting when that thing has at least another 5, 6, 7 years of a good run.
It should be the finals coverage. Like
yes,
that's what it should be.
Yeah,
there was a playoff game happening, and all of a sudden you hear Shaq saying, "What else, Chuck? What else, Chuck?
What else, Chuck?
I ain't gonna say nothing bad about no street meat." Like that is the halftime breakdown of
Charles
him
Barkley's,
ripping on New York's, just the city of New York,
and Barkley constantly ripping on San Antonio, and then having the Beehive come after him because of Galveston. Talking about the water in Galveston, and then Beyonce's mom starts going, and then you got the Beehive going after Chuck. And then Chuck doubles down. It's like, no, I don't want the Beehive coming after me. It's better than Galveston, better than San Antonio. I still wouldn't step foot in that city.
Hey, we're not going to do a show there. I'm not going to go vacation
Never
there.
going to go to Galveston. I don't care what they say. I'm not going to drink the water there. They can say whatever they want. That's fine. Sorry.
They had Draymond Green on the other night.
Last night, yeah.
That was last night, too. And he's just like, he blends in or is just kind of like a wallflower with those guys, where if he was on any other panel, like I said, he would be one of those edgier guys. Oh, what's Draymond going to say or do?
He tried to be edgier last night and
just
destroying Gobert at halftime and just talking about, like,
he put Vince Carter in quite a Vince Carter was like, I don't really want to make any bad comments about anybody.
Draymond was just like just destroying. Draymond was doing
accolades.
Draymond was doing to Gobert at halftime what Jokic was doing the entire game, which is why Draymond saw the open lane to go after somebody he doesn't like anyway.
Yeah.
The open lane was, well, he's getting roasted by Jokic. I can use this as he's getting roasted by Jokic, and then I can just go ahead and exercise some demons on national TV here, let people know what I think about Rudy Gobert.
And that's another thing hard to do, whether it's on broadcast or cable. Find those former athletes who will go after current athletes, because a lot of times they're buddies with them or they're buddies with buddies, and they don't want to get in their bad graces. But to find those guys, and I feel like the NBA, you find more of those guys and they don't care.
I mean, look at Chuck and Mike.
This is bad basketball.
Chuck and MJ.
Yeah.
I mean, Chuck made a comment that's pretty accurate if we say that he's had a very
LeBron was better.
Desirable
Sorry.
10 years owner, and he hasn't. It's rumored that they haven't talked in years.
That's right, because he talked about him as struggling as the owner. That the team sucked,
and it's real.
When he was the owner.
It's not even wrong. Those teams were it was the Bobcats.
They still suck.
Yeah, they weren't good. Derek Jeter, your time owning the Marlins sucked.
Still does.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I forget that Michael Jordan still owns that team.
Yeah. Well.
I also don't pay attention to the NBA. So
it was
part of it.
He was tired of owning the Jazz all the time. Just like, other than owning the Jazz. That was Brady's line of like, I'm looking forward to owning the Raiders because I'm tired of owning
the Bills and the Colts.
Bills and the Colts my whole life. Did you see the argument that John Boog Shambi got into with Pablo Torres? Because Pablo and Mina Kimes were saying how good they think Tom Brady's going to be. And I'm with them. I think Tom Brady's going to be really good. And Boog was like mad. Like mad, legit, like it's just crazy that you just assume that he's going to be good. Do you know how hard it is to do the analysts for, different, like, Tom, and they're talking about, Tom Brady's breaking down all these defenses. He's like, okay, that's fine. He's like, but Tom Brady looks at this rookie over there on the corner and sees that he's not any good and attacks him. He goes, now Tom Brady needs to know that guy's name and then everything about him. I'm like, I don't care if Tom Brady says the name, if he's saying what this quarterback is seeing and why he's attacking certain spots, and this is what the defense is doing.
He'll know the names. Like, he has a whole research team, right? They're going to present him with all the stuff.
And Tom Brady doesn't seem like a guy that's just going to half-ass it with something that he wants to do.
No, and listen, I was almost, I would have been in Boog's camp. I was. And then Romo came along. I couldn't believe they just threw him into that number one seat, sight unseen. He hadn't done any color analysis at all, and he jumped right in. And
he was
great.
He was a revelation early on.
Yes.
He was guessing plays. He saw the defense. I think he's sort of gotten content and resting on his laurels over the years. Because
I've heard some things where too
he has gotten content.
Well, I think that's the thing they told him to kind of rein it in because he's no longer doing what made him so special.
Right. He's been getting a lot of it wrong too lately.
It's been a bummer. Who would have thought that a guy would regress that much as a?
But I don't think that was. I think Tom Brady's going to be awesome.
I think he'll be just fine. Yeah, he'll be good. Better than when Aikman, right?
Yeah. Well, I think better than.
It could be better than Romo. I think
he'll have to be
better than Manning.
He'll have to be really good to be better than Olsen. They're taking Olsen off the number one team. Greg Olsen became one of the
really
best,
solid,
the best analysts out there because of how good the analysis was and how crisp and concise and to the point it was, and how he made it easy to digest and understand to the lay, and got to the point, which is hard. Believe me, I do this show. It's tough to get to the point sometimes, all right? And I present it in different languages.
All the lay, too.
Yes,
you just can't speak on the lay level.
I know.
So much higher above
the point, though.
I'm like Boog Shambi. Do you know how hard it is to do this job?
I would say it is a lot harder to ascend to that level as play-by-play guy or gal than it is the color analysis.
I agree. The color. Tom Brady is going to take.
He's got 90% of the work already done because he's played the game.
He's going to take all of his experience of breaking down defenses and knowing what he sees and spending the week looking at the teams he's going up against and then presenting that in the broadcast.
And his first game won't be his first game. He'll get coached up, right? They'll have mock games.
You're absolutely right. That's a good point.
There'll be months of that.
Already doing that now.
They're already doing that now? Yeah. I mean, it makes total sense.
Because it's knowing it, but then also conveying it and doing it concisely, quickly, because it's basically play happens. Here's the down and distance. You've got 25, 30 seconds to digest. We'll give you one replay here, and then it's back to the play-by-play.
And he'll have first game will be Dak v. Deshaun in Cleveland. Cowboys heading to the Browns on Fox will be Tom Brady's first game. But Fox becomes better overall because Greg Olsen gets bumped down to number 2.
Yeah.
Who's he paired with?
I don't know.
We don't know the number one. It won't be. Will it be Burkhardt still? They're gonna break
I'm
up.
guessing number one.
Joe Davis, the guy that's with Moose.
Number one would stay with Burkhardt. It'd be him and Romo.
Yeah.
I would guess. Or I mean, Brady.
Yeah.
Sorry, him and Brady. Yeah, him and Brady.
The
I would
great
guess.
commercials they have with.
They're good.
Yeah. They're
I don't know
Rinaldi.
why is Boog Shambi so mad? It's not like he's being a play-by-play announcer.
He got so what could be like I don't know unnecessarily.
I was kind of like that when Romo came in and he kind of proved me wrong on that. I'm like, okay, maybe in that seat you can ascend quicker to greatness than you can in the other one.
I think Boog's point was Tom Brady may be great. I think it's a little quick to just assume he's going to be awesome based on how good of a quarterback he is.
That is a good point. Yeah.
That was his whole point is, like, I'm in line more with Pablo and Mina saying, I think Brady's going. I'm going to go ahead and assume. I think Brady's going to be really,
Pablo
really
and
good.
Mina, they are talking more about probably what he's going to say.
Exactly.
Boog's worried about how he's going to say
That's a great point. That is an absolute great point. How refined he is in presenting the information versus what we're talking about, which is the information he's presenting.
It's also one of those things, too, where you've been doing this so long, you're known as being great. You don't want someone who's never done before to come in, and then all of a sudden everyone thinks, oh, anyone can do it. Anyone can do this.
Well, because it's and to Mick's point, I think it's a great point about the play-by-play. Boog has advanced a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, from his working to where he is now, he's had to put in the work and do all of that stuff to get to this level.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a level of sort of annoyance of, well, Tom Brady just gets to slide into the number one spot.
I think there has to be with some of those guys who've done it for so long. I would have to imagine.
And I'm sure, he knows a lot of analysts that have been working their way up the ladder, and he's shooting above them, right? So he probably doesn't like that that whole deal. But no, it'll be cool. It'll be good. I like that when we saw a lot of his personality in those golf tournaments when he was mic'd up, and you're like, wait, Tom Brady's kind of funny too.
Weird.
It's unfair. He's got everything.
He's
going
pretty
on
and
for him.
funny.
And then he showed even
fair.
more in the roast.
Yeah, it's not fair that he's got the
Pretty
looks,
talented
looks
and
and
funny.
personality. Double threat guy.
I think baseball's also way more difficult than football. Like I think baseball would be
It is.
way
I've
harder
done them all.
than
I've done them
football.
all.
Well,
It
there's
is
so much more
time.
and there's so much more strategy that goes into, okay, are you walking this guy? Who you bringing in from the bullpen? Left, right matchup. They're bringing the infield in. Is this a smart move? Double play depth. You got this shift going on.
There's that, but then there's also like half the time it's just like, it's a one.
Oh, there's a lot of space.
It's a 1-0 count.
See,
I've told the story that in the first at bat about this guy. What else should I?
think
talk about
I
here?
think baseball is as close to sports talk radio during a game as it gets.
It is.
Basketball is straight play-by-play and mixing in some color commentary. Football's a nice mix, and baseball is, we're going to do a sports radio show talking about the things and giving you facts and things about these players, but there's going to be little action that's mixed into the overall conversation, whereas there's a little conversation mixed into the action when it comes to like football and especially basketball.
Football's the best for both seats, the play-by-play and the analyst, in that like you're going to call that play, it's going to last, 6 or 8 seconds, and something good or bad is going to happen for both sides, right? If it's stuff to the line of scrimmage, it's a good play by the defense. You talk about that. If it's a 12-yard game, you talk about the pass and the offense and all that, and then you have 25 seconds to talk about it more. The analyst talking. Basketball, it's a lot of times hard for the analyst to get in because it's so fast-paced. Ask Greg Gurley, right?
And you got to have a relationship with that guy. If you're the analyst and the play-by, you got to have a relationship and understand tone.
a lot of times I've heard analysts say they're like, okay, I have it. I will talk about that basket until the ball crosses half court, and then it's back to the play-by-play guy because he's calling the half court off. And these days with basketball, that can only be a couple seconds.
That's probably right. Yes, with the lowered shot clock.
You can kind of see it with the, and I thought that Jamal Crawford's been amazing on TNT, but they switched him and Van Gundy, and you can kind of see them trying to remember to fit. Oh, Jamal is going to say something here with Reggie Miller and Harlan. So
they've been doing it a long time together, so I think there's a little bit of an advantage there. But Wyatt and Stan's relationship in basketball is as good as it gets in sort of hearing the other guy's inflection and tone. And knowing when it's the perfect time to then start your conversation, and then as you're wrapping up, the next guy is ready to start talking. It's a fun combination to listen to.
Did you guys see?
And I'm only saying that because Stan's on the radio.
That makes sense. He gets really pissed off.
And Wyatt's a good dude. If he wasn't a good dude and Stan wasn't around, then they are awful. The worst.
Did you guys see Kevin Harlan call Jamal Murray's half-court bucket?
Fantastic.
That was in his grill.
Yes,
like
looking
Jamal
at each
Murray
other.
is making it right in front of Kevin Harlan, turns to Kevin as Kevin Harlan is then standing up screaming, "Got it!" in Jamal's face. That was one of the coolest play-by-play moments.
Well, this is
I
where
have seen.
I mean, to that point, like TNT probably giving up the basketball rights, which is what seems to be is going to happen. They're spending all this money, like they're trying to cut back in certain ways. One of the ways that apparently they have decided to cut back is NHL on Turner Networks, that they're not sending some broadcast crews to the site of the NHL playoffs. They're not sending them to. This ain't COVID anymore. And one of the games last week, the broadcast crew missed a goalie substitution, missed the sub of a goalie coming in because they weren't on site, and they're saving money.
If it's really that bad, you can't afford 2 more plane tickets,
exactly,
and a couple rooms for a night. Then get rid of it.
What it reminded me, because of your point, like that Kevin Harlan call was amazing, but if he was at home doing that call, you don't get that sort of interaction and that video there of watching Jamal Murray and Kevin Harlan, as Kevin Harlan's calling the basket and Jamal Murray's just staring at him. You get the NHL where they miss a goalie substitution because they're in a different spot.
Off the TV
because you couldn't afford, like you said, 2 plane tickets and 2 hotel rooms.
What are you doing with the extra $1,000? What is Turner Broadcast Studios doing with the extra?
Trying to buy the basketball rights, probably.
Yeah, but it's $1,000.
You know what? If they're using that to get the NBA back, so we can get NBA on TNT. Okay, sorry, NHL guys. I feel like it's just take one for the team.
And I actually mute those games because they don't even have a guy on the ice. Like, that's the best part about the in-person broadcast of NHL is the dude on the ice that can describe things, because you can't really see anything. When it's
I think they should put the broadcast team on the ice, in the rink while the game's going on, like in the rink, like just skating next to them the whole time and just doing the broadcast. That would be great. Like the referees, just blend in with the refs.
Same up the refs.
Same with baseball. Just have a reporter out there in the outfield the entire time, between left and center. If it's a lefty up, have him between left and center. Righty against or he's throwing hard, maybe you shift him over to where the guys
where the shift isn't.
That's right.
So if they move everybody over to the right side, then you're over on third base. And you can broadcast there.
And you also get a glove now.
Like
you're actually a rover. It's a rover.
Soccer officials right out there in the middle.
Well, it's just like T-ball. You got the dads out there in the outfield and the coaches and stuff like that. Just like, that's not affecting the kids. They're perfectly fine to be able to do that. Those are important games too.
Well, when you give negative reinforcement, it helps them.
That's on you, Tommy. Good times, right? Good times. All right, we'll take a break. By the way, so Drake came in the break before you got here, Mick, and he was surprised to find out that he is producing the Chiefsaholic documentary on Amazon.
Oh, he is?
That has been given the green light. Drake is producing it. And so Drake, Jason Justice, walked in and goes, I've been told I'm producing this thing on Amazon. Had no idea. I think it's the Drake hip-hop artist, the Kendrick Lamar's Drake, then Drake here. But I don't know yet. But there will be an Amazon documentary on Chiefsaholic.
Oh, I know people. There's a Netflix one, too. I think there are 2 documentaries. I know people who have been interviewed.
Why?
For them.
Why?
Dude, he's already had his 15 minutes. Now he's getting his 15 years.
It's interesting to people.
Man.
I mean, that's what they do.
You know what? I hope he gets paid a lot of money for it so then he can give that money to the teller that's suing him for $10 million.
There we go.
That he stuck the gun in her face and threatened to kill her and all that stuff. So, yeah, get all the money you want. Make all the documentaries you want to pay him so that he can then pay her. Perfect. We figured it out.
He can do that. Will he make money in jail?
I bet he can get. I mean, he should.
Well, he won't make it. He probably won't keep it because I think Jason's right. I think it goes
all
all
to
to
restitution and all that. Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
The plaintiffs? Is that? I'm not a lawyer.
Victims. It would go to the victims and whatever total number that he's yet to pay for that. But yeah, I think you would probably get a little bit of money. The Amazon approaches you and said, "Hey, we'd like to do a documentary on you." Cool. What's the money? Talk to my lawyer. Because right now you're on the 1 yard line.
Oh boy.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing, and Xavier's pocket was collapsing. But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure.
Yeah, he did.
He took responsibility for his actions.
That's why it's not allegedly anymore, Sterling.
He stood up in court, humble and repentant, and admitted what he had done.
That's why it's not allegedly anymore, Sterling.
Now, if I know anything,
I don't know
about Xavier,
it's not,
if the Chiefs Kingdom knows anything about Chiefsaholic,
it's not how to pronounce his name.
We know that he doesn't give up.
He doesn't.
We know that if
he keeps robbing
he
banks,
stumbled and he fell,
he'd get up and pick up the money
he
and keep
didn't let
running.
His knee touch the ground.
Oh. Knee never touched, though.
That's a good point.
That's because
it would have. He would have been down, and he would have given the money back.
He's capable,
allegedly,
of doing a great thing.
Not
but
robbing banks.
He knows that there's still hope. We still have a lot of work to do on his case, but Xavier wants everyone to know that he loves the Chiefs Kingdom, he loves Kansas City, and he hopes that you'll rally to his support. Thank you, and God bless.
When he says rally to his support, did he expect that people were gonna start clapping or bring signs to
Dylan
games
just
and
started
be
clapping for him?
Yeah, it's like
free him or
you know what? After that speech, I think Robin Banks is okay.
Yeah,
I'm down with it.
Yeah, I just something in me. I'm just not going to rally to his defense.
But seriously, what was the expectation of that? Is it signs at games?
Yeah, but he's just trying to remind everybody about all the days he didn't rob banks. Like
he's just a really cheap and bad lawyer, I think, is the maybe don't overthink it. He's just
I don't know. He's got a lot of money.
Do you think Xavier?
Do you think he had to rob a bank to go pay for the lawyer? We had to do that, just. That's why he ran. That's why he needed to run before. So he goes, I got to pay for some lawyer fees. I need to pull off a couple of more jobs. This is my last job, I promise.
It's like the
one more job and then I'm out.
Arrested Development thing. I have the worst bleeping lawyer.
You know, I've been out of the game for 10 years, man. Yeah, but this one job, and then you'll never have to work again. You can't pull me back into this one. No, I've walked away from this life. Sorry, honey, one more job, and then we're done. I hate you!
Chiefs are playing in Mexico. I got to get these tickets.
The Amazon documentary right there. It's just a movie. I've already given this life up, and you're coming here telling me about this. You know I love you, and I can't say no, but damn it, I want to.
Who came up with the puns? Like, do you think Xavier was
cheap lawyer?
No, but do you think Xavier's like, please give me some puns, or do you think when he told Xavier what he was going to say, he's like, please don't say that. Just give a normal thing.
No, I think that's maybe this guy's first case, and he's watched a lot of lawyers on TV give stupid speeches like that, and so he's like, it's my turn now.
I got a chance, man. I got a chance to show out here, all right? I can be like Chiefsaholic in the front row.
And it's gone viral. Well done.
I don't know his name, but I don't know that it's gone viral for the ways that he
true,
wanted.
You're right. He actually
it's
has.
about the 12th time I've heard you play it.
What?
Yeah, which means it's viral.
I don't know what you're talking
got
about.
The most watts at this station in the world or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, now you got to play him in the back. Come on, now you got to play him.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing, and Xavier's pocket was collapsing. But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure. He took responsibility for his actions. He stood up in court, humble and repentant, and admitted what he had done.
Ooh, that was nice.
Now, if I know anything about Xavier, and if the Chiefs Kingdom knows anything about Chiefsaholic, we know that he doesn't give up. We know that if he stumbled,
song goes longer than
and
I
he
thought.
fell,
Me too.
he didn't let his knee touch the ground.
Ooh, that little drum
because
solo.
He's capable of doing a great thing.
I don't believe you.
And he knows that there's still hope. We still have a lot of work to do on his case, but Xavier wants everyone to know that he loves the Chiefs Kingdom, he loves Kansas City, and he hopes that you'll rally to his support.
Nope.
Thank you, and God bless.
Oh, that tambourine taking us home right there. That's nice.
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
Niners-Chiefs game.
March 13th, he said. I knew
Might
that
as
was
well.
wrong.
No, I think he said October 26th.
Yeah, it's
and it was
October 20th.
October 20th.
Yeah, they're playing October 20th, week 7.
Yeah, he had him on a Saturday in October somehow. Yep.
We know the Chiefs and Saints play a Monday Night Football game. That has come out. I think week 5. Atlanta is the 3rd game of the season for the Chiefs. They'll head on the road, so that'll be their so Baltimore, Cincinnati, and then they go to Atlanta. We know the Chiefs on December 21st, the first round of the college football playoff. They will be playing a home game against the Houston Texans, and we know 4 days later on Christmas, they will be at Pittsburgh against the Steelers.
We know they're playing on Christmas.
They are playing Christmas Day on Netflix.
Who said that?
Netflix and
Netflix said it?
And every other national reporter.
You excited, Mick?
It is definitely a Christmas. We talked about it. Mick and I were perfectly fine if they never played a Christmas Day game again for the Chiefs.
And Black Friday, too, right?
They're playing Black Friday, and they're playing Christmas Day. Christmas Day is Netflix, and I don't think that's going to be a local over-the-air with Netflix. I think Netflix is like full-on, no, it's Netflix or nothing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not like the Amazon Prime.
Let us bid out or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Thursday night is bid out, right? Do you guys bid, or is Thursday night just going to you guys? Because it's Amazon Prime. Thursday night Amazon Prime, not the first week of the season.
Right.
But the Amazon Prime regular Thursday night football,
out.
It's bid out. That's what I thought. And the Peacock one, is that just NBC local, or is that bid out as well?
I think that's on bid out, too.
Okay. Because the Chiefs, the December 21st game, there will be one of those games will be a Peacock streamed game. That could be Chiefs and Texans.
Oh, God,
and that would mean that if that's the case, then 3 out of 5 weeks.
Every effing holiday.
3 out of 5 weeks would be.
Every effing holiday. Why they're going to do that to the Chiefs 2 years in a row?
Yeah.
They're Super Bowl champs.
Do they think about the
media?
media?
Well, that's why.
Do they think
that's
about
why,
the
because
media?
they're Super Bowl champs. They want to go up against the first round of the college football playoff, so they're putting Texans and Chiefs there. And then Christmas Day, Chiefs is a draw. Well, the other game, I'd be more pissed if I was a Ravens or a Texan fan, because the Ravens and Texans are playing Christmas Day. At least the Chiefs are playing the Steelers. I know it's a road game. But if the Chiefs were playing like the Ravens or the Bills or the Bengals on Christmas Day, I'd be pretty pissed. On the short rest, that huge of a game with that implication, Ravens and Texans might be battling for the 1 or 2 or 3 seed, depending on how the season goes, and they're going to do that on 3 days rest, playing on Christmas Day after playing on Saturday. And Texans doing that against the Ravens after traveling to Kansas City to face off against the Chiefs. I'd be annoyed if I was the Texans. Chiefs at least have a home game against the Texans, and then they go to Pittsburgh. So they got to take on Russell Wilson.
See, Mick doesn't care about that. Mick is sad because
know,
he's got to work.
Yeah, I
on
care about my family.
Yeah,
I get that.
Being around my family for
You know,
holidays.
let's not exaggerate here on the air camera.
The local bar is really missing a lot of Mick's money on Christmas, and that's what we're really here to talk about.
We've got to work now.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. That local bar is no longer getting Mick's hard-earned money.
But if the Chiefs are on Peacock on December 21st, that would make 3 out of 5 weeks where they would be an internet-streamed game, because Black Friday is Amazon Prime, and then December 21st if they get the Peacock game, and then December 25th is Netflix.
This is all so stupid. Remember we all had just like one TV and we just turned the channel and it was everything was on like that handful of channels?
Remember when you never had to question when the Chiefs played on Sunday? It was at noon, unless they were playing
now it's twice a
against
year.
the Chargers. It was noon.
Christmas is on a Wednesday.
And they
it's
said
not
they were never going to.
Sunday or a Monday.
They said they were never going to do that.
It's a Wednesday
until Netflix offered them $300 million.
God.
So when you look at because here's the impact of the $300 million, to put it into fans' terms, if we want to do that. Delay, if you want to say that. When you break down the percentage of revenue from the NFL and the players with the CBA, and so then what the players get of that $300 million, and then you divide that by the 32 teams, it's equivalent of about $3 million towards the cap by just playing these games on Christmas Day.
God, thank God those guys are getting richer. Really. I'll turn my mood around.
I
These
know,
guys
right?
get a
I'm
little,
sure
a
parking's
little more
cheaper
money.
now, right?
Man, thank goodness they get a little more money.
I know,
Parking's
right?
cheaper now.
It is.
And beer's cheaper, I believe.
As
Because it's
long,
Christmas Day.
as long as Jared Goff can make over $50 million a year,
Yeah.
then I'm fine not seeing my kids on Christmas.
I feel like you're being serious there.
Yeah, I like Christmas. Christmas is awesome. It's
No,
fun.
I think you were serious about if he makes money, then I'm fine not seeing them.
Yeah.
Christmas is a cool holiday. It's not as good
Well,
as
it's
Thanksgiving.
cold. Yeah, it is cold outside.
But it's not as good as Thanksgiving.
Top 3 holiday. Thanksgiving's number 1.
Thanksgiving number one.
Thanksgiving is awesome.
It's number one.
The older you get, the better
NFL's trying to
Thanksgiving
ruin
gets.
that too.
I know. Well, they've always had the games on Thursday, but they did then add the night game.
Not Chiefs, just once.
I know. Well, I'd rather be Black Friday than Thursday.
I don't know if I would rather.
I would.
That's so annoying. It's also dumb.
He's so mad about Christmas. I'm so. You know what? I should have told you at 2:00 that they were on Christmas Day.
Why can't we go back to just
The way it is.
everybody plays
But
at
things
noon,
change.
except you're on the West Coast. You play a little bit later.
Hey.
Game on Sunday night, game on Monday night.
I'd let it go back when we played as kids, but things change. And that's the way it is.
For the
Things
worst.
will never be the same.
They will never be the same.
That's just the way it is.
The way it is.
They're gonna have it
Oh yeah.
every Christmas day.
Yeah, because
they're
next
doing
year's
Wednesday.
Thursday. Next year's Thursday.
Oh yeah. Then they'll get back in the wheelhouse. Then
So
Friday,
it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday.
and then back to Monday.
Wednesday was really
And then
the
a
only
Tuesday.
holdup. Wednesday was the only
I
one that
figured
they
Tuesday
really
or
had
Wednesday. There's no chance.
Well, they had always said
will.
they're not going to play games on those days until Christmas landed on that day. And they're like, you know how cool last year's Christmas was? What if we added a Christmas Day game, but now that's not part of the package that everybody else has bid on. This is now extra revenue that comes in. We can make even more money. And that's not even counting an 18th game that they're going to eventually go to.
The sales guy who came up with this idea and who has his account is just, he's thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah. Roger Goodell makes a little more money for him. You know, he does the idea. Roger Goodell gets paid.
Yeah.
It's a great
And
system.
Mick doesn't get to see his kids.
Sorry about that, Mick. I may not even get to see the game. I'll be in Louisville. They don't have internet at my in-laws' house.
They don't have internet there?
No, we've talked about
We've
this.
talked about this a lot. It's Southern
we've talked
Indiana
about it.
You
slash
guys have.
Louisville. It's
Yeah.
difficult.
No,
it's
you and I have
hard.
talked about how it's like
it's-
they have to pay like $200 for like 30 megabytes per second. It's just absurd. So like,
So
we'll
you
just use
do-
our phone.
You use the phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be watching the game
it's
through my
hard.
phone, but it's sort of difficult to keep track of the Chiefs game watching it on my phone. But whatever.
You know those swatches of where it's like 99.9% coverage? You know, like those things.
Can you hear me
This-
now?
This is
That's
like
right.
the
Can you
dot
hear me
where-
now? No.
No, I actually can. I've
It's
dropped
like,
you.
It's like half of Nebraska, all of South Dakota, most of North Dakota, and then that little dot.
It's Southern
Good time,
Indiana
Louisville. Yeah.
slash Louisville. It's right in there, and I don't know
Well,
why.
if they were in Louisville, it'd be fine. It's just
But it's
you
the
know,
outside,
They
yeah.
got like a number of acres outside of Louisville where it's like we're not gonna put any fiber or
It's a
anything. We're not
town
gonna run
of
line.
800 people,
We're
and
not
they're all
running line
my,
out to
my
you. Sorry
mom's
about
family.
that. You know, we're not even running a phone line out to you. All right. So I think they probably have. I have no idea. Not sure who has a home phone these days. I mean, right, Mick?
My
You got one.
grandparents.
Really? They have a party line?
I don't know. They have one phone. It's on the old time phone.
Was it rotary?
I don't think it's a rotary, but it is the long cord, so you can go to the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And
You ever
take it.
used a rotary before?
No.
So you're calling an old time phone just like
No,
a
it's
digital?
not a rotary phone. We
Yeah.
had a rotary. No, it's not digital. It's still not digital.
You punch
It's
punch
an
the
old.
buttons.
It's an old time phone. You pick it up and then you pull up the antenna, and then you like
car
dial
phone.
and stuff.
It's a car
What are those
phone.
called Altels or whatever.
So
those
cool,
cell
man.
phone brands were.
It's pretty neat that we have this sort of.
It's a
feeling of-
BlackBerry. It's an old time phone.
It's an old time phone. Sidekick, just sort of slide it up, and then tap away.
iPhone 4.
Palm Pilot.
iPhone 4. Yeah.
Palm Pilot, that's right. BlackBerry. It's somebody put out a list of you might be old if you get 1 point for everything you've done on all of these, and I have done every single one of them.
Name them.
Used a rotary phone, used a floppy disk, used a typewriter, taken pics with a film camera, listened to music on a CD, made a mixtape, owned a Walkman,
Yeah, this is
listened to music on a boombox, watched a movie on VHS, rented a movie from Blockbuster, learned cursive, played an Atari. Don't you dare do anything,
I have
Sterling.
10.
40. This is 40.
I have 10.
Sent
Or
or
older.
received a fax. Had
Oh,
a
yeah,
mi-
I was in
had a MySpace account.
Yep.
You didn't have a MySpace
Yes.
account. You were 3 years old.
Yes, you had your 5 friends.
You didn't
Your
have
my
5.
top
You had
5.
more. You
Whatever
had more.
it was,
10.
Tom. Whatever
It was
Tom.
10. It was 10. You didn't have a MySpace account. I don't believe it. You were too young. Your parents wouldn't let you have it. You didn't even have the internet. It was dial-up at that time.
Yeah, I know. I played Roller Coaster Tycoon, guy.
Ordered from Columbia House.
No.
That was tough.
Had an AOL address.
No.
You used dial-up for the internet.
Yep.
Used an actual book encyclopedia.
Yeah, one of those.
We had multiple sets of them.
Yep. Used an actual phone book.
So you were rich.
Mm-hmm.
Sent a postcard. Looked at a paper map to travel.
Yeah.
Owned a dictionary.
Yeah.
Have written a check.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
I know, right?
I still
know.
write
Yeah,
checks.
I
I
know.
write like
Yeah,
I,
That one's dumb.
Yeah.
That one's dumb. Uncurled a telephone cord.
Yeah, my grandparents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's daily for me.
Dylan's like a daily. We got the telephone cord here. Yeah. Some of those are dumb. But some of them are
We
like,
do
yeah,
radio.
Yeah, if you're 40,
yeah, you've done all
You've
of
done
those
all
things.
those, yeah.
For sure. But you haven't played an Atari.
No,
Sterling.
sorry.
And
I
I
have
don't
not
think you,
played.
and you didn't have a MySpace account
Yeah,
either.
the one that you plug into the yellow and white port.
the
on a TV.
joystick.
Oh, we had
with the-
that. Yeah,
oh,
I mean, Nintendo was, I think, white and red and yellow, whatever that.
Your first console was a Dreamcast. Don't lie.
it was a
Sega
PS,
Dreamcast?
It was a
It was a
PS4. wasn't it?
PS4.
No. It was a.
PlayStation?
No. My first was either an N64. Yeah, it was N64 and then GameCube. It was N64.
What was the GameCube?
GameCube was like
Between N64 and the Wii.
Yeah, GameCube was awesome. GameCube was maybe
your
the
word for it.
greatest gaming device ever created.
We had Nintendo,
NBA
then it had
Live
the original
04
Sega,
was
and that
on
was it. Nintendo original Sega, and then there you go. And then eventually a PlayStation
I
at
played
some
the
point.
original Sega.
There you go. We'll take a time out. We'll come back, continue rolling. Royals in action this afternoon. We'll talk about what Michael Wacha has done the last two outings. Nelson Velasquez, you know what, Q?
He's on the team.
You know what, JJ and Q? You take that ticket to Omaha and shove it where the sun don't shine. I'm going 1 for 4, baby.
Sarcasm.
Thank you again for the coffee. That was very nice.
All right, hanging out here in this Wednesday edition of the show. Coming up tonight, 6 o'clock, scheduled release show with Jack Johnson preview of the 7 games. 11 games? 11 games, right? 11 games?
At least.
11 games that are released already. Mick had a great question, and it was a really good one, and it was an over-under, and we like the over-unders. So when the schedule release comes out, the different teams have their videos that they put out to release those schedules. So Mick had a great question. And what did you set the over-under at?
10.5.
10.5, okay.
Yeah.
So there's 14 opponents.
14 opponents.
For 17 games, but 14 opponents. How many of those opponents, over-under 10.5, will have the Chiefs part of their schedule release involving Taylor Swift?
Make a reference to Taylor Swift.
Some way, shape, or form Taylor Swift. I think it's the over. I think it's closer to 14.
Hammer the over.
Yeah, I got the over.
I think it's closer to 14. I think
Might
every
be
one of
right.
them. I think every one of them are going to make a reference to Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year there were a number of teams that made references to Chiefsaholic.
Yeah, but not
That's
10.5.
been passed. That's been no, it wasn't 10. But
it was like 2 or 3.
But that's passed. That's run its course. Okay, this is the first
is a much
time
bigger deal,
with Tay-Tay.
right? Yeah, the much bigger part of their identity.
A quick yes or no. Will there be a Chiefsaholic and Taylor schedule release video? And will it be the Chargers?
It has to be one
that's
team
last
that
year's.
includes both of them.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's the Chargers. would be the
Chargers
one
had
to bet on.
Chiefsaholic last year, so I don't think they'll go back to the
Maybe
well.
Chiefsaholic takes off her mask and it's Taylor.
Oh,
You're creative, Nick.
I know. Now all those teams are gonna be like, oh wait, I've got this song pun. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cruel Summer.
Bad blood.
Bad blood. Okay, we're gonna work it in.
We're filling in this blank space with the Chiefs.
Look at us.
We're cool.